Good afternoon and welcome to the July 20th regular meeting of council. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. Up front, we have the consent agenda, the minutes of the council meeting held July 6, 2026, and the approval of the council meeting agenda. Do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendations as noted? Moved by Councillor Gore, second by Councillor Martin. Any errors, omissions, or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Thank you. Council, we have 3 delegations today. The first delegation is from Harris Lancaster Investments Limited for the official community plan, OCB, and zoning amendment application at 457 and 489 Stanford Avenue East and 472 Island Highway East. There's the delegation from T. Armstrong, H. M. Hansen, and R. DeBield. Are they here in the audience today? Thank you. Come on down if you would, please. Are you coming singular? Oh, just one? Okay, thank you. Just come to the podium there and introduce yourself if you could. You've got 10 minutes for your presentation, and if you hit the little button on your left, it'll turn green. Yeah. My left, your left. You're probably right. Good, welcome.
Hi, Council and Mr. Mayor. I'm Magnus Hansen, representing the Tony Harris Group and Lancaster Harris Investments.
Sorry, your first name again?
Magnus.
Magnus, thank you.
Magnus.
Nice to meet you, Magnus.
Nice to meet you all as well.
Thank you.
Do I control the slideshow or should be able to? So I'm here presenting on behalf of the Stanford Avenue rezoning presentation and OCP amendment. So the subject property is located along Stanford Avenue within an established commercial area that is already supported by existing infrastructure, employment opportunities, shopping, and community services. The location provides convenient access to everyday amenities, including grocery shopping within approximately 950 meters, and the Parksville Community Center within approximately 600 meters of the area. As Parksville continues to grow, locations such as this have become increasingly important because they can accommodate additional residents without relying on major new infrastructure investments. New housing in this area will allow people to live closer to services and recreation while making efficient use of infrastructure that is already in place. The site's proximity to amenities, employment opportunities, and transportation routes make it a logical location for residential growth and aligns with broader planning objectives that encourage housing in serviced urban areas. This proposal provides an opportunity to add much-needed housing in a location where residents can easily access everyday services, community amenities, and recreational opportunities. Today, the property is primarily occupied by an RV storage and commercial building that is home to a long-term tenant. While these uses have successfully operated on the site for many years, the property's size and location create an opportunity to better utilize the land and community as the community continues to grow. The majority of the site is currently dedicated to low-intensity commercial uses that do not fully reflect the property's potential given its location within an established urban area. As demand for housing continues to increase throughout Parksville and the region, the site presents an opportunity to introduce a broader mix of uses while retaining existing commercial industrial activity. The existing commercial building remains an important part of the property and continues to provide value to the community through its long-term tenant. The objective is not to replace successful commercial activity, but rather to build upon it and create a development that better responds to future community needs. The long-term site vision. The proposed rezoning establishes a framework for transforming the property into a more complete, integrated community over time. Residential development is planned on the east and west portions of the site, while the existing commercial building remains in operation at the center of the property. While the existing commercial building is intended to remain for the foreseeable future, the owner's long-term vision is to redevelop the central portion of the site, thoughtfully designed mixed-use building. This future phase would introduce additional ground-oriented commercial space complemented by new residential housing above, creating a vibrant mixed-use environment. The expanded commercial component would provide opportunities for neighborhoods serving retail, restaurants, professional offices, and personal services, while the additional housing would support a more complete walkable community. Together, these uses will create an attractive destination that enhances the vitality of the area, supports local businesses, and provides lasting benefit for both future residents and the broader Parksville community. An important public benefit of the proposal is an introduction of a new pedestrian connection between Stanford Avenue and the Island Highway. This publicly accessible pathway will provide a safe and convenient east to west connection through the site, allowing the nearby residents to more easily walk or cycle to shops, services, restaurants, and other amenities along the Island Highway corridor. By improving connectivity and encouraging active transportation, the pathway will strengthen neighborhood accessibility while reducing reliance on short vehicle trips. The overall vision is to create a complete, walkable, and well-integrated community where people can live, access daily services, and enjoy high-quality public spaces within a connected neighborhood rather than a functioning as a standalone residential development. The property is intended to evolve over time into a desirable mixed-use community that enhances Parksville's urban fabric, supports local businesses, promotes active transportation, and contributes positively to the city's long-term growth. The proposed RHD4 zoning would support the development of two four-story multifamily residential buildings, each containing approximately 67 homes for a total of more than 130 new residential units. This represents a meaningful addition to Parksville's housing supply and provides an opportunity to deliver new homes in a location that is already supported by infrastructure, services, recreation, and employment opportunities. The proposal makes efficient use of land that is currently underutilized while maintaining the existing commercial component of the site. Given its location, access to the amenities, and long-term vision of the property, the owners believe that the site is well suited to accommodate future residential growth while continuing to contribute to the local economy. In closing, this application represents an opportunity to introduce more than 130 new homes in a location that is already supported by existing infrastructure and amenities, as well as employment opportunities. By adding an appropriate residential density in a well-serviced urban location, the proposal makes efficient use of existing infrastructure while supporting Parksville's long-term growth objectives. It also retains an established commercial use while creating a framework for the property to evolve into a complete mixed-use community over time. We recognize that the council may be wondering about the time that has elapsed since the application was last before council. During the period, owners were focused on other business priorities and development commitments. While progress on this application temporarily slowed, the owners have always remained committed to the long-term vision of the property and have now re-engaged our team to move forward with the project. The owners are fully committed to completing the remaining work required to advance the rezoning progress. Our team is actively working with staff to move this application towards development and approval process. At a time when the housing remains a priority throughout Parksville and the region, the project will deliver more than 130 new homes in an appropriate location where residents can easily access shops, services, employment, and transit. We believe the property is well suited for this transition. The proposal aligns with the city's long-term growth objectives, and the owners are committed to delivering a high-quality development that benefits both the residents and broader community. We respectfully request council support in advancing the application to public hearing and the next stage of the rezoning process as we keep moving forward with this project.
Great, Magnus.
Thank you.
You got 2 minutes to spare. Good job. Thank you. And thank you for bringing to our attention the reasons why it's sat not stagnant, but just on a hold for a period there. And so I'm glad you're coming back to the table and good to see you. Council, any questions or comments for Magnus while he's here? Councilor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. So the current zone RHD would allow 114 units. So you're getting additional density bonus up to 134, you mentioned. How many of those additional units would be non-market housing?
Sorry, can you say that last part? Couldn't hear you.
So because of the density provisions, you are getting about 20 additional units that you can build.
Yes.
Of those 20 units, how many will be non-market?
Non-market? I'm not entirely sure on the answer. We've worked on the covenants to make sure that all the units would be market rentable. In,
Thank you. Because density bonusing, I thought we give the bonus in exchange for something non-market that we would get. Or more affordable. Okay.
Yeah, Councilor Gora, I'll direct that question to Mr. Russell. If you could.
If
Mr.
I may,
Russell,
Mayor,
discuss.
through to Councilor Gore, they're working in the standard density parameters is what they're proposing. They're proposing market rental housing without taking advantage of the bonus density provisions. It doesn't mean they couldn't change their mind, but at this point, they're proposing market rental housing.
Understood. Thank you. So you have had this application was first given in 2022, September, I think was when it was first brought forward.
yes, I believe it was right before this council got elected.
Correct. Yeah, thank you. So there was an opportunity for you to have some community input on this, correct? There was some open house that was held. So is there information what the community's input was like on this proposal?
There was an open house held. As far as I know, the community input was taken well. The only reason I got put on the back burner is just the owner's time commitment and they're quite happy with the tenants and the current use of the property. And they had other business opportunities to move forward with. But to my knowledge, there was no, it was taken quite well from the community.
And these are market rentals, right? Going to?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fraz, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Magnus. It's nice to see you guys bring this forward again. I do recall when this came to us in the last term, and it was exciting to see that. I think the area is a great area to add some residents, considering the types of things that are happening in that area with like Aerosmith Brewing and so on. And so I was wondering what had happened to it over the years. A question I have for you is regarding the pathway you talk about connecting Stanford to the highway there. Is that pathway, you've talked about being a bike pathway and so on, going to be public access and for it, or is it going to be restricted somehow? Or, and as well, how is security or lighting or those types of aspects of the pathway? Can you tell me what you envision for that section of it?
Well, given that we're still currently in the rezoning process, we don't have a full detailed plan of what the pathway would look like. I don't believe it would be a private pathway. If I go back to this slide, I believe it's highlighted in, but it'd be a corridor connecting from the Island Highway to there. Yeah, thank you. I believe the plan would be to fence it on either side with lighting, and it would be a public access from the Island Highway straight through the property, as this is a commercial building right in the middle. So.
Okay, thank you. One other question, if I may, just to staff then, where did things leave off? And for them to be coming back now, did the time lapse now, or that, their application before need to be brought forward, or did they have approval? I can't recall when it left off then, because it was just before the election time. And
Sorry, I'm trying to, can you repeat your question?
yeah, when they came forward before,
Yeah.
they where did things leave off for their application? They were looking for rezoning and OCP amendment at the time. Where did it end up to have them back here now today? I can't recall if they had.
Sure. So as noted in the background in the staff report, which is later on the agenda, they did all the public consultations. So they held an open house at the time. They submitted all their notes and whatever, and then as the applicant has explained, they basically were working on other priorities. So this is really the follow-up report, the standard follow-up report that would occur with any rezoning and OCP amendment application. It's just that there's been more time than would be typical. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for clarifying. Magnus, I did that. What Councillor Fraz referred to as the public access anyways, you did say a public access that's going to be provided on that pathway?
Yes.
Right through to the Island Highway.
That's the plan, yes.
Okay, yeah, because that's good news, because that's a really long block
Mhm.
to try and get in between, so I commend you on that. Good, thank you, probably for your residents. Closer to the bus. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Grens, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to our delegation. Magnus, thank you very much for coming today and presenting this proposal. A number of interesting aspects to it. I do love the pathway concept of being able to connect the Island Highway through to the other side on Stanford there. I've definitely run into the situation where they're like, oh, it'd be nice if I didn't have to go all the way around. In terms of the location, though, I do have some questions and maybe concerns around this, the fact the neighboring uses and whether there's compatibility here. Directly across the street, obviously, is a farm, and then there's some industrial uses right nearby. I can see potential clashing between renters staying there, wondering about maybe sounds and smells and the sorts of things that can come from the neighboring properties. So how would you mitigate against that? And how do we prevent the situation where maybe, a few years from now, we're getting complaints from people saying, oh, those loud this and that and stinky that and the other thing?
For the farm zone, in the plans would be to, as the regulation requires, is to include a 10-meter buffer on the part of the property that's directly across the highway. That'd be vegetative. Hopefully that would provide some help with the smells and sounds and that right across Stanford Avenue from the agricultural zone. As for the neighboring properties, one is the Oceanside car dealership, which is owned by the owners as well. So they would plan to integrate that smoothly as they also own that property. And then there's a brewery, and then the Tim Hortons, and just the Tim Hortons right there. So I don't think there's too many industrial areas surrounding that would provide too much sound, given most of them are just fast food areas, and then the brewery, which is perfect for the residents to attend, and then the farm would have the buffer involved in that to help with that buffer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there is also, I think, a mechanic and some other kind of more, I don't know, industrial sort of uses that are quite close by to there as well. So I just want to mention that. And then I guess you bring up another point in question is, given the fact that it's the same owner that owns quite a chunk of this area, and I noticed that they're looking to adjust the line for Tim Hortons on the property, what it is now, like basically keeping it the way it is now, but right now it's actually technically a different property. How does this feed into future vision for what the owner would possibly be doing down the road? Maybe as regards the car dealership and some of the other properties that are around there. There's like Little Yellow House and all that.
I'm not entirely sure what the future vision is for the Little Yellow House, which is the RV sales. That's still up for discussion. The moving the lines, especially for the Tim Hortons and then the property as well, is to make sure the lots are suitable to support the RHD. RHD4, that way you don't have one too small, one too big, and it just moving the lot lines allows us to have a better vision of creating that central piece into that mixed use residential. Instead of leaving one way too small, we can now expand on it and actually envision what we want to do is build that little community in this neighborhood with the including infrastructure there.
Follow-up?
Yeah, well, not a follow-up, maybe a different question. So you're proposing this would be a rental building, and if I'm remembering correctly, secured with a covenant or not?
Yes, there would
Yeah,
be
okay.
a 10-year covenant on it.
10-year,
To
okay.
keep it 10 as rental,
Okay, thank you.
As
And so,
rental, yeah.
yeah, market rental, 10-year covenant, which is similar to the covenant entered into on a different property, also owned by the same owner, I believe, on Alberni Highway.
Okay.
Can you maybe speak to what the target demographics would be for this particular property? And maybe in context of the other one, we've got quite a bunch of rentals coming online soon, including that other property. And while when you first brought this proposal 4 years ago, there was a significant issue around vacancy rate in City of Parksville, very low vacancy rate. And I don't know what the latest numbers are. We've got a census coming out soon, and I'm sure that all will be updated. But where does this fit in to that picture?
Well, I think given this area, yes, there's the one just on Despard that's coming up, but given this area and how many job opportunities are there, given the development, especially in that resort area, there's like the big grocery stores coming in as well as other restaurants. I think there's a market for rental housing here to provide for all those services that are coming in. And then, so I think it'd be very mixed community as Parksville tends to be, but of the younger getting ready to work in the walking area with all those, with all the restaurants and businesses and commercial areas that are now being built up on that drag of the Alberni, or the Island Highway.
Thank you. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through to our delegation. Thank you very much. I certainly welcome having some residential mixed in. I think it makes for a more vibrant area and also softens the look of it. And it will be wonderful to have a continuous sidewalk along there at some point in time too, which would be wonderful. I appreciate the questions that Councillor Grenz has brought up, but also understanding that it will be market rental. Perhaps it hasn't been completely decided, but if there's a possibility for some of those rentals to be affordable units, that would go a long way for many people in our area. And that is still market rent, but at the lower level. I presume you're familiar with
Yes,
how that's
yes.
calculated. I understand that there is a bonus that can be allowed for, but nonetheless, people can apply to have some of those units be affordable. So if that there is a real need for affordable rental as well as non-market accommodation in our area, even though the vacancy rate is not as dire as it used to be. Many people are living in poverty due to the cost of housing, quite frankly. I want to add my congratulations and appreciation that there is that pedestrian pathway that goes all the way through. As has been mentioned, it's a very long block. And also, yes, to allow for residents to get to the bus stop and other things. So I'm really encouraged by this. I've thought for a long time, and particularly not only the pandemic, but with the change in how people shop and retail, that there's opportunity for infill. This is just the kind of thing we need because it's land that could be other utilized. It could be allowed for residential without having to go into areas that haven't been developed at all. So I appreciate that. And I look forward. My understanding is that should this proceed to the next step, that it would also go to the ADP for some further look. That's the advisory design panel.
Yep.
And get more information on that pedestrian walkway as well as the whole look of the place. I think as Councillor Grenz hinted, there are some other smells. Whoever's renting on the one side, they must like the smell of coffee because the coffee roasting does happen right there. I don't know how strong it is, but it's definitely a factor.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With this idea of implementing something for affordable within this complex, sometimes they take a percentage, say for 15% for 10 years or something like that, or 20 years. I've seen that. And if they would have that consideration, that would be very helpful because the people that will live there, some will be working in the vicinity, obviously.
Yeah.
And it makes it more affordable for them. So I'm just, because they're not necessarily high paying jobs.
Yeah.
And so as this moves forward to look at, you can do something like that. That's a very good corporate decision to be supportive of the community.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the presentation. It looks good and I do like the pathway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Just conclude. Thank you for showing up today, and it's a great presentation. I really appreciate a lot of your proposal here. For I was always considered underutilized land, and it's turning out to be the heart of our city and so forth, and it's going to provide some additional rental housing. Somebody said, "Where are all these people coming from?" And I said, "Well, a lot of people that are looking for rental housing in Parksville are all the tradespeople and the builders that are building all the developments that we
Yeah.
have in town.
Yeah.
And they have to commute back a lot to Nanaimo because at the time of the start of those apartments weren't available. So that seems to be our economy of late.
Mhm.
And so I'm appreciative for the fact that you're adding to it. And plus, by providing more apartment units, it actually keeps the pricing stable
Mhm.
to allow more based on market demand and so forth. And so I appreciate that as well. So I understand the building close to you, the Shelley Road and Shelley Road in Stanford there was apartments and so forth. And they had very good luck at achieving full tenancy very quickly.
Mhm.
And those people have become a integral part of our community. Right in that area of town that did not have a lot of housing. So it's always nice to have more eyes and ears on the streets in that area. It's good for your businesses as well, because it just makes it a more vibrant area. So I'm definitely in favor of your proposal. And I thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council.
Thanks, Frank. Next up, council, we have a delegation from Northland Developments regarding an official community plan and zoning amendment application at 353 Moliette Street. A presentation from E. Larkham on behalf of Northland Development. If you're here, yes, come on up to the podium if you would, sir, and introduce yourself. You have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Evan Larkham. I'm the owner of Northland Developments, and I'm pleased to be here today to introduce our company and our 24-unit development at 353 Moliette that requires a zoning and an OCP amendment. How do you change the
arrow.
Arrow, okay, thanks. Yeah, just a very quick background about our company is we're a small family company. Northland Developments is our construction company, so we build our own units. It was started 30 years ago from my dad, and he retired, and I've taken over his name. Yeah, so we're currently building in Campbell River and reside and excited to put some roots down in Parksville. This is just a project that we did in Campbell River. Just a little bit of backgrounds of what we've done in Campbell River, fairly kind of 2 to 3 story, low density townhouse style product for rent and for sale. We also are Metro Living. That's our property management company. So we are a full circle. We build it and we keep it for the owners and we manage it. Okay, so that's a little bit about us, and I just have a screen here now about our proposal. So this development is to introduce a new form of rental housing to Parksville, a lower density apartment format that lives like a townhouse instead of an apartment with direct exterior access to each unit. In contrast to the 4 to 6 story apartments mainly in the marketplace today. Our project will be market rent and will be secured with a 10-year covenant as well. We're proposing 4 adaptable units, 1 in each building. So I think that will also well cover off a bigger demographic. Yeah, we were providing a fire department contribution and offsite infrastructure upgrades, and the city will benefit from upgraded assessed values, which will be good. So cutting to the proposal, there's 4 buildings. There are 3 stories, which will be a good fit for the neighboring properties. to the south, there's basically a 3-story building, the head injury support building, and then a 4-story building from there. In terms of building height, we fit well within the surrounding properties. We are proposing above what the zoning bylaw R8 or RS3 requires us to do. We feel that it's important to have an extra amount of parking because a lot of our tenants have 2 cars. So additionally on the site plan, we have a dog run, community garden, commuting sitting areas. So we want it to be a nice place for everyone to live and hang out. The next slide is an initial rendering of the property. You can see the 3 stories to the side there. On the ground floor, there's a door that goes directly into the unit. Up the stairs, there's another door from the 2nd story directly into the unit, as well as a secondary door that has its own interior set of stairs up to the 3rd floor for its own unit as well. I thank you, and I'm here for any questions.
Thanks very much. Just up front, I just want to make sure I clarified properly. So these are going to be at market rental?
That's correct.
So I like the townhouse concept. I really do. And the 3-story, it's even for families. So an idea, are they going to be 2 or 3 bedroom units? Or?
They're all 2-bedroom units.
They're all 2-bedroom units, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's advantage that the family has ground floor access, to a lot of people. That's to stay grounded, so to speak. It makes a difference, and so I appreciate that. And also, so it's not going strata; it's market rental at this particular time. And you've over accommodated the parking, which is a big concern. So I love the idea of the 3-story townhouses. I think it's great. Provides a good option for living, and the fact that it's going rental, I think that's probably a good strategic move you got going on there. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, first up is Councillor Gore.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Can you speak to the available common spaces or the amenities on site for these 24 homes?
Yeah, sure. So there's a fenced dog compound that's nice, and then there's 24 units also. So I expect us to generally we put about half the garden plots out. So 12 garden plots is what I expect because not everyone uses it, as well as like a sitting area with picnic tables for people to have larger gatherings. We normally put a fire pit out there as well too, like a propane fire pit. That's in general. The ground floor units will also have a small little yard space.
Yeah, just to clarify, the site is like 1 acre, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What will be these unit sizes? What size will these 2 bedrooms be?
About 950 square feet.
Sorry, say again?
950 square feet.
Thanks.
Any other comments for the delegation? Go ahead, Mary Beal or Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. That's a nice size, 950. I mean, my house originally was just about 1,000, so I have a pretty good idea what that is. But I have some trouble figuring out kind of how the layout works in there, if you don't mind. And although they're kind of like townhouses, but they don't actually have access to getting outside, but they're not necessarily all ground oriented. So the bottom floor directly goes outside to, but then the 2nd and 3rd floors, so are they basically stacked? Is that what we have?
That's exactly.
So there are 2 on the ground floor, 2 on the 2nd floor, and then 2 on the top floor. Is that correct?
You're correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then with access on sort of the one side of the building and then, well,
The other side of the building looks duplicated. Yeah, so in a sense, it's like a duplex, but 2 units on the bottom, as you said, 2 units on the middle and 2 on the top.
Okay, but then if they have, if the other end of but there are 4 buildings, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So in
6
24
buildings
in
each.
all, pardon me?
6 buildings in each building for 24 units.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments for the delegation? Go ahead, Councillor Francis.
Thank you, through the mayor. These are, can you speak to the construction materials in there? Wood frame construction, are they?
Correct.
And
I'd like to also add that we do build to step 4, step 5 energy code too, so.
That's better for the utility bills.
Mhm.
Good for you. Thank you. Any other first time comments? Go ahead, Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the presentation. Just looking at the design, building on Councillor Beal's comments, it looks like if you're on the first floor, then you can walk out of your unit on either side of the building, either end of the building.
If you're on the first floor, basically, if you look at the side profile there.
Yes.
You can walk right into your side of the building.
Right.
As well as you have a patio too,
Right.
so there's different ways to come in and out.
And then on the second floor, you have on either side of the building, you just have stairs, but you can come right out.
That's
that
correct,
way.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a shared entranceway with also the top floor. Is that how
That's
that works?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 stairways, so
Sure.
that we could put a partition wall so that they would have their own stairwell,
Sure. No elevators, obviously.
no elevator.
Okay. And then if you're on the top floor, while it might be a bit trickier to get in and out, you get your own balcony that's a bit larger than maybe than the second floor balcony.
It's actually the same size.
Oh, same size.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Councillor Grants, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thanks for the presentation, by the way, and the renderings.
Thank
Great
you.
to see. In terms of the traffic study that was done in 2021, do you foresee updating that in advance of anything on this?
The staff seemed to be happy with we're actually going lower than I think the previous application was 26 units and this application is 24.
Yeah, I think it was 30, but you mentioned twice the parking spots. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're looking at me, Councillor Martin, is that?
Yeah.
Yes?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. And it's nice to see a family business is carrying on.
Thank you.
And you're part of our OCP and future. We want densification close and people can walk. That sort of thing. So I think looks very good to me.
Thank you.
And I like the balconies in the top parts, like, so people have a place that they can get out
Mhm.
and it'll be market priced, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Second time speakers, Councillor Gore.
A couple of questions. First, if you can speak to stormwater management on site, considering it's a very compact development, very, 1 acre site. If you can speak to that. And second, if you were to stay, let's say, within the OCP designation and the current zoning, you could, or let's say, even if you were to go for a rezoning, staying within the OCP of transitional housing, go for an RS2 and try and build some duplexes with the density would be a little gentler. That's the word. Have you considered that? It's considering it's only a 1 acre size property, going for an RS1 to an RS2 to help build some higher density, better utilization of the land. And second, if you can speak to stormwater management on site. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. We have considered that, but this is our business model. For the price of the land, et cetera, this is a form of building that we build. So we would like to proceed with this type of building. As for your question to stormwater management, we plan to use a lot of drought tolerant plants that don't require a lot of water. Our civil engineer is also designing it to a 100-year storm. So I leave that in the engineering's hands to ensure that it's meets all of the those requirements.
Thank you. Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, I just have one other question, comment and a question, if I may. With the layout, with its basic, there you can get out to the ground individually from these apartments, but they're still much like apartments. They're stacked one on top of the other. I appreciate that. And it seems to me that these might be very well suited to people who are sharing a place. So for instance, you know, perhaps two people who are, you know, we're not necessarily a family as well, but to share the accommodation, working, particularly if the plan is to have both bedrooms similar size or the same size. Have you considered that, or are they very different sizes, as you often see with a primary bedroom being much larger than a secondary bedroom?
Our floor plan, which I believe is in your package, the primary bedroom is bigger. However, the secondary bedroom, it's a little smaller, but we still offer a little walk-in closet space too that would accommodate that situation quite nicely. We build this product in Campbell River, and we attract a wide demographic of young couples with roommates, seniors that like that. A lot of people with pets. We're pet friendly, and I think the people with the pets really like being able to go in and out of their unit without a haul.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I think that's great. Yeah, thank you very much for your time and your proposal. It looks very interesting. I'm quite pleased that you brought it to us. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next delegation we have, council, is from McDonald Gray Consultants Incorporated, zoning amendment of application at 520 and 530 Martindale Road. A presentation by Nigel Gray of McDonald Gray Consultants regarding the zoning amendment application. Welcome, Nigel. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to give you a quick overview of what we are proposing through this straight rezoning application. And I apologize if my voice goes away, but we were at a ball tournament on the weekend and I was yelling a lot, so it's kind of gruff.
Did your team win?
With me today, I've got Scott Stevenson, who is our civil engineer extraordinaire on the project, and Nick Schmalling, who's representing the property owners, Martindale Holdings Limited. And hopefully this will work. Oops. Should just say. So as I alluded to, this is a straight rezoning application in line with the OCP policies. We made the application back from February last year, and it was acknowledged in March of last year. So we're on track for a rezoning of this type, about a year and a bit into the process at this point. So just to get you oriented, you can see the project outlined in red there. That's 520 and 530, pardon me, Martindale Road. You can see Despard Avenue, where it was originally intended to cross, where the existing sanitary sewer comes through, Brigadoon Golf Course to the west. And I've just illustrated Pathfinder Camp Resort because that's where a lot of the flooding we experience from time to time is, and we're going to talk about that a little later in this presentation. So you can see now the property is already zoned RS1, so subdivision of this property is possible right now. When I say maximum density potential, that's the first day I looked at it based on the overall property size. You'll see as we get into the presentation, there are pieces that will be removed from that overall total for park dedications and return to Crown. 4 dwelling units per lot, which is the Bill 44 result from the province. You know, 240 was on the maximum property size. Realistically, you'd be looking at 40 lots at a full RS1 size, which could be up to 160 dwelling units on this site. Obviously, that's not what we or the owners thought was appropriate. So we'll show you what we have in mind. Again, this is OCP compliant. So It's in line with your OCP and meets that criteria. In this case, we're looking at a small lot product, fee simple. One complication, not a complication, just is what it is there is an agreement between the city and the property owners for this property. And this is due to some required sewage works that came through the property, and a stat right of way was granted at that time by the property owners. And the city at the time, 20 odd years ago, agreed to permit a connection of this property to that sewer system and consider an application to develop with a land yield of 52 lots. I don't know what that R1 zoning is. I'm sure somebody could go back in the record and see what that was, but I understand it to be a standard single family zoning. And this is what the 1993 plan looked like. So you can see there, it's essentially a 50 lot subdivision, 52 lot subdivision. You can see the proposed Despard Avenue extension, and this is set up as a strata. What we're proposing is fee simple, so it's a little bit different. So per the conditions of that right-of-way agreement, the owners agreed to a 7-meter park dedication along the Englishman River and a dedication of parkland to the north of Despard Avenue, north of Despard Avenue right-of-way, which is not a road right now. It's just a sewer station. And to return to Crown those portions of lands lying within the bed of the Englishman River. So that's returning control of the Englishman River to the province and the control of the riverbank to the city of Parksville. And that's what it looks like on our current subdivision layout. So you can see the green is the park and the blue areas are within the river, and that would be returned to the Crown. Just wanted to note, road dedication would occur at subdivision, and that's not final. This is just a proof of concept. Subdivision is at the approving officer's authority, so I don't want to presuppose that outcome. I mentioned trying to mitigate this flooding. So we need to extend a water line up to the site to accommodate what we're proposing through subdivision. In that case, we are going to raise the road so that water line is not subject to damage due to flooding. That also will provide emergency access during flooding, times of flooding to this site, and should mitigate those long-term issues we've had on Martindale with flooding as long as I've ever been here. This would be provided as partially a community amenity contribution and partially as a requirement of subdivision. I'll talk about that later. As we work through subdivision and this rezoning process, we will come back to you and outline exactly what those costs are, what's attributed to the subdivision and what's attributed to as a community amenity component. So things we didn't need to do for our development. In terms of the housing spectrum, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm a planner. I don't see a way out of this in the short term. So we're going to remain in a housing crisis for decades, no matter what you and I do here today, the next day, or the next year. What we're proposing right now is the lowest possible density scenario under that current provincial setup. We are going to impose our own restriction to a single unit per lot so that this blends with the neighborhood. So that's a developer initiated restriction. The city is not allowed to do that, but we are allowed to do it as a private landowner. We feel that this better meets the original intent of the OCP. So the OCP that was written before Bill 44 was imposed upon municipalities, and it is the right fit for the neighborhood. I think what we're seeing a lot today is people crammed into sites unnecessarily. This provides an opportunity for a little bit of yard space and the dignity of having some dirt to grow some food and have your kids play in the yard. In terms of technical requirements, I just want to make clear that it doesn't matter what zoning lands on this property in the end. The technical requirements will be exactly the same through subdivision, and the city's imposed a number of development permit areas which also guarantee those technical requirements be met. So in this case, we've already done our environmental impact assessment, which includes the riparian areas and street side protection area. We've also done a geotechnical report and very complex hydraulic report. Again, don't worry about those things too much. They have to occur no matter which way this goes. These discussions are ongoing with staff. As I noted, as we move through the processes, we'll come to a firm technical requirement. And just to be clear, we are not rezoning the portion adjacent to the river. So that will remain RS1 as this exhibit shows. So those 8 lots adjacent to the river would remain under the current zoning. And what we are rezoning are the 44 interior lots, which does cross the 520, 530 property line that exists now. These are not tiny lots, like you see on Pioneer. So our average lot size of 440 square meters. This allows for a ground floor master scenario with a 2-car garage, which I think if we were looking at your realistic demographics, that's something that's desirable here. And again, it's a fee simple scenario. I'm not a fan of stratas. I don't think anybody really wants to move into a strata unless they absolutely have to. So that's why we've gone with that approach. Again, I alluded to the provincial legislation, that restriction does not apply to the developer. So if council is looking for a way to secure what we're saying today, because I know staff has some hesitation, we are looking to do 52 homes. We don't want to do more. We don't want this to end up being 140 dwelling units due to the proximity to the rural areas. We're open to discussing alternatives as in a CD zone. So that would take us out of the lot, 4 units per lot requirement, and we could make this a CD zone, but we'll leave that to further technical discussions with staff that will occur after this meeting, should you decide to proceed. Next steps, on-site servicing, as I said, is ongoing technical review right now. We've resubmitted some additional technical documents and are considering doing a concurrent subdivision application just to get that technical review moving forward at the same time as the rezoning, because we're about 1.5 years in now. After that, and that will take some time, we will come back to you for first, second, and third reading of the bylaw once it is drafted. Did I go quick enough?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Are you done, Nigel? That's
Yep.
good. Thank you, Nigel. Before I open up the floor, I want to help me understand your flood mitigation along the Martindale Road. Your suggestion is to just raise the road, understanding where you're sited and understanding where the flooding occurs, basically the old Perry's campground and in front of it. And then it stops, of course, when it gets to the hump coming up to 19A. Where is your raising of the road going to start? Where is that going to end? I understand you would be doing this, you'd be changing infrastructure to get your water line down there. So I understand that. But raising the road, I'm unclear how you're going to prevent the river from having its way.
I'm going to put Scott on the hot seat right now.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. My name is Scott Stevenson. I'm with J.E. Anderson Associates. We're the civil engineers on the project. So obviously this is early on in the stages of our designs, but conceptually, we've spoken to the Ministry of Transportation, who are open to the idea, the concept of raising the road. It won't be solving the flood issue indefinitely. It'll be raising the road so that the issue is less occurring, so that emergency services can get in and out more often. And we're trying to prevent the flooding from happening as often as it does. The exact details of the design will have to come at later stages, but initially what's essentially going to happen is we're going to raise the road from before closer to the highway, I should say, to the north end of the flooding, and extend it about 300 meters or so to the south along Martindale Road, and it'll be raised about 2 to 3 feet generally. And we'll have to make this work with existing ditches, existing driveways, all the access points. Initial ideas and concept include culverts along the way of this section of road that will allow the water to come and go as it please. That thereby we're not creating a barrier. It's almost like a bridge that's occurring.
Interesting. Number one, that's a long ways to go.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in other areas of British Columbia where they've tried to do the raising of the road, they have succeeded in preventing the flooding in that area, but the river just gets pushed down to another area around. The river will find its way to get through, or it will go through your road, unless you have adequate culverts, of course, to get through there. So I mean, I'm not the engineer here. So, but at the same time, I think if it had been that simple, it would have been done by now. Is all I'm saying. Is I have a lot of concern because I have been down there volunteering when that river floods to helping people that are stranded and so forth. And I was blown away when I saw the river move the 2-ton blocks in front of the pathways now, Perry's Campground, actually moved it at their, like as if they were made out of styrofoam. And so the force of that river is immense. And I've seen it, and it was frightening. And I know people that have lost their homes that got washed away by that river. So in full flood level, that river's a devil. And so I'll leave it to the experts, of course, but I just wanted to know if you had a magic formula on how you're going to redirect it, or because when it goes big time. So, okay, I'm good with that. You're obviously considering all of what I mentioned, but yeah, okay, thank you. Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Plummer Road, no, do you know where Plummer Road is? You probably know down the river, there's a road called Plummer Road. And that used to be not there. It used to be is floodplain, but it's been raised. Is that sort of the idea you have in mind? Because if you look at it, it's higher in parts and it doesn't flood so much.
It sounds like the idea, yeah. Essentially,
Yeah.
we're trying to get the travel portion higher than the water.
Higher than the water, but higher than the land on the other side. Like Plummer Road goes along the river and then there's land there.
Mhm.
On the other, the
Yep.
other side of the road, and that would be lower than the road.
It would be, yes.
And so it's the same thing?
Yep.
But you're going to have your development on the riverside.
Correct. The
So
development has to be built up as well.
the whole development.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you. In the report, it talks about whoever wants to take it. It talks about the bank erosion
Yeah.
and a couple of strategies that I mentioned, very, very expensive
Yeah.
options. If you can speak to what your preferred choice is, and also flooding, it's a big issue of this property, the stormwater on site, and we want to keep that water. You want that water not to come on your property so you can have safe homes, but we want to make sure it doesn't spill over to the neighboring properties, but also it also stays in the ground. It's not flushed back into the river.
Right.
So protecting the ecology of the river. So few things here to manage, I guess. So how will this development work towards protecting the river? Also the essential function that flooding also does, right? For nature and ecology, how will that be maintained?
So to answer your first question, there are the two options to improve the riverbank. I'm not sure it's been decided which option will be used. We'll have to work with the owners and Northwest Hydraulics, who did that report on the hydrology of the river and the protection of it. So I think that's still in discussion. It would be sorted out through the detailed design. In terms of stormwater management for the property, once the land is raised out of the floodplain, which is about 1.5 meters to 2 meters, Northwest Hydraulics did an analysis of what impact this would have on the neighborhood. And although the properties are bigger than surrounding lots, the impact and the displacement of that water, according to their model, does not change what happens in the flood situation for all the neighboring properties. The water will still come and go. In terms of stormwater management for the development, the concept right now is a pond near the northeast corner of the site, which would collect the water. We direct it all to this pond and slow it down so that we're not creating erosion issues for the river and downstream.
So is that pond within the park dedication, I'm guessing, like part of the park dedication?
That's where it's
Yeah.
currently proposed, yeah.
If I can comment to the possibility for preventing the erosion along the river was the addition of riprap.
It was
I'm not a big fan very fond of riprap. I'm just not, only from an ocean point of view, that's the hardening of the shores and so forth. But more in the area of a river, I'm not a big fan of it because of the fact that it doesn't promote nature, growth, and so forth. Any sensitive river front needs trees to shade the river itself or to promote spawning activities. And we are spending a lot of money making sure that habitat is protected with lots of water coming down from our Aylesmith Dam. And so a healthy habitat includes growth and trees and so forth on it, but that's hard to achieve when you have riprap growing there. Because riprap, there's no soil in between it. It's riprap because it's riprap. It doesn't lock together and it provides drainage, and I get it. But at the same time, it's not providing a good environment to make that river itself healthy for the spawning that we're trying to promote and encourage with our release of the water from the Aylesmith Dam. So I'm concerned about that. I mean, maybe Nigel would be able to answer a little bit better what could be done along that, because she has a fairly close source anyways that could probably provide some excellent planting skills. But I am concerned with riprap. I really am. And I understand its effectiveness at preventing erosion. Right. But at the same time, at what cost? And I noticed you had a dedication, I think, of 7 meter from the riverfront, 23 feet from the riverfront for us old guys. But at the same time, would that be right where the erosion, where the riprap is? So you can say it's park dedication, but nobody walks on riprap and lives to talk about it. So I'm just saying that if that's all part of that dedication, it's not a trail. It's dangerous. But I'm just saying, if you consider it, maybe riprap is not the best solution here. Once again, we'll leave it to the experts, but it doesn't make my river that we're trying to preserve for us and First Nation is our agreement. The collaboration with the First Nations here is to make that river viable, even more viable than what it was before, as Councillor Martin has pointed out, because she has history going way back to when that river was under duress. And so I don't want to add any more duress to that river. We're trying to make it better. So as Nigel's point out, there's all sorts of biological and environmental studies that are going to be performed, before anything like this happens. And I get that, and I understand. It's just when you say a word like riprap, it goes up on the back of my neck. Just comment. Thank you. Councillor Beale, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the both Nigel and yourself for presenting. One question I have is regarding Shelley Creek, which of course is farther up and then drains down and is impacted by the flooding. But have you consulted with MIVI, which is the Mid-Vancouver Island Habitat Enhancement Society, regarding what they would like to see that would improve the work or facilitate the work that they are doing on Shelley Creek? That's my first question. Looks like Nigel would like to take that one.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Beale. We live in the same neighborhood, so I'm pretty concerned about the water coming down and flooding me out as well, because our home is in the floodplain and right beside Sylvia's farm there. I just want to say really quickly, a lot of the approvals are at higher level of government. So how that ends up is we've created options, but someone will tell us what that answer is. It'll either be civil staff, city staff, or it'll be somebody from the province saying what they want it to be. So it's a bit out of our control. And I just wanted to restate that those requirements will be the same regardless of how this is zoned. So the second part of your question is, yes, I was a past director of MVHIs. So once we get to a point where we know what those technical solutions will be, we can start working with our stakeholder groups. But right now we're kind of up in the air because we haven't got a decision on a lot of these things, and we don't have a green light to proceed with the development yet. So.
Thank you. I was going to allow myself a follow-up question. Thank you. So I also, as has been mentioned, have real concern for properties that are downstream, either those, including those immediately adjacent as well as beyond. And I'm certainly familiar with the Scout property, having assisted down there on occasion, as well as there's another property beside that. And then we get into Pathfinder. So, and I understand that the Scout property, it certainly gets flooded out quite regularly. And some of that actually came about from some improvements that were made farther upstream and then that. So, how assured can you be that there would not be further erosion, further negative effects for the adjacent property, both from anything that's done, especially hardening of the riverbank, but also I'm kind of curious, a little more curious about the parkland holding a wetland area. I guess it depends where it is and how large it needs to be, but beyond there, obviously there still needs to be access to that pump house as well as access to the property that's beyond there. So if you could speak to those.
We share the same concerns. There's nothing that this property owner can do about forest practices or farming practices that contribute to the Shelley Creek flooding. We are required to not exacerbate flooding for adjacent properties, and that is in the engineering reports. I have to believe in the best science of the day, and the engineers know what they're doing. It's an engineer being reviewed by an engineer at the province. So that's the best we can do. I don't know better than them, whether it'll be riprap or not. We'll come back and let you know what the answer was. The other thing that further complicates this is the jurisdictional boundaries. So the piece we're actually talking about fixing is in the RDN. It shouldn't be, of course, if you look at the map, it's just a dumb map. But here we are, we're dealing with the RDN, Parksville highways, and the province. So it's complex on our end. And when we get the answers from those bodies, we will come back to you with the answers. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions for the delegation? Seeing none. Oh, we have a late comer. Go ahead. Councillor, go ahead.
Yes, excuse me. Yeah. Question about your setbacks from the river. The park dedication talks about 7 meters from the riverbank, but the provincial regulations are 30 meters, aren't they, from in the riparian?
Correct. So some of that's on the lots. There'll be no homes within that setback at all. So
Okay.
there'll be covenant on the lots for those areas.
And that would be protected with covenants?
Correct,
or-
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, very good.
Your
light's still on, that's all. Okay. Good. Councillor Grants, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to our delegation. Thanks as well for the presentation. I'm wondering if you can go back to your slides. I don't know if it's possible to get back on those. Thank you. If we can go back a few. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. Can you maybe walk me through the rationale kind of about the layout here and the rezoning that you're seeking for that part relative to the RS1? What's this kind of all going to look like in the imagination once that's done relative to what the current zoning would allow?
Sure. So it will look pretty much exactly like what the current zoning allows. It'll be a single family neighborhood. The rationale and straightforward is the larger lots along the river will have a higher value. So we've left the larger lots there. They also accommodate a portion of that setback as well. So it works. And we're still trying to achieve that 52 unit number that was agreed to without having this kind of run loose density that's permitted right now in the RS1 zone. So by going to SLR1, we have a smaller lot size that we can use, and we're going to impose our own single dwelling unit restriction on that to help achieve the original OCP intent. So that's our approach. Really, the owners wanted a single family development. I think that's appropriate as a planner for this area. And so that's why we've gone with that form.
Thank you. Which takes me to the thing you raised there in terms of the restrictions that would be put on it by the owner. Presumably that would be a covenant on the properties beforehand, or how would that work? I've seen definitely situations where there are building schemas and whatever that are then not enforced by anybody. They need to be enforced by the entire community. So then they don't actually happen.
The answer is yes. Building scheme and a covenant on title within the ownership. There is a chance that all 52 owners would change their mind and think they want 4 units per dwelling unit. And so that was my comment earlier in the presentation. If that isn't sufficient for council, we can do it another way to just make it 52 units. And that would be through a comprehensive development zone. Because you're taking away the lot. As soon as you create a lot, Bill 44 comes into place. So then
Right.
you're at 4 units.
So they're not stratas, but they're a building scheme.
Well,
And then who enforces that?
It would be the strata there. It would be a. Would you like? Yeah. Nick is a lawyer. I'm gonna let him come up. and
Okay,
talk.
lawyer, bring in the lawyer.
A land use lawyer.
My name is Nick Schmalling, representing the developer. And the primary objective would be to stay away from strata. It would be single family, fee simple lot, building scheme. And the understanding with building schemes, as Nigel already alluded to, the likelihood of getting unanimous consent amongst a group of owners that large is going to be pretty well impossible, or let's just say unlikely. The alternative would be to get a court order, and those are extremely difficult to get, especially in this particular scenario. So that's what would end up happening.
Okay, thank you for stepping up. So let's say, for example, someone decides to build a coach house on their property
Mhm.
or puts in, I don't know, basement suite or something like that. What happens next?
Well, I mean, they would go for a building permit, and it would then be flagged depending on what the city wishes to do. I mean, what we've done in Surrey is Surrey becomes a party to the building scheme by way of a covenant. So they would get word of the fact that there's another unit to be built, which is precluded in the building scheme, and that would put an end to it.
So the city is a party to the covenant?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
So there
And
would
if
be-
not, and an owner discovers the fact that an additional unit is to be built on the property, then that owner could go to the approving authority under the building scheme and advise them of the fact that this was being planned. Anybody who wants to build within a building scheme arrangement has to submit plans to we call them an approving authority. Somebody who reviews the plans and says, okay, you're compliant. The fact that an additional unit is being proposed would be identified and would get shut down and not be possible.
right, okay.
Right. And then if there is an argument, then it goes to court.
And Mr. Russell can comment further on this.
Yeah.
Mr. Russell, if you could, please.
If I may, I mean, there's also just a simple covenant that restricts the number of units which the city could be a party to, which should be separate from a developer's building scheme, as the city normally isn't party to those and typically doesn't enforce building schemes because it's not a party to those. And we typically don't want to be determining whether or not they're, you know, what color paneling someone has and that kind of design detail. So typically we would probably be looking at just a separate covenant restricting the units in favor of the city.
Thank you. And then in that case, it still would fall upon to the city to enforce it somehow, which would probably be mainly through not issuing a building permit or.
If I may, through to Councillor Gunn. So in the case of an actual restrictive covenant to section 219 covenant, that's enforceable by the city, and the city wouldn't violate a section 219 covenant to which it's a party of.
And presumably the 52 or 51 other owners also couldn't, or all 52 couldn't override that either because that was a covenant that the city has.
Well, yes.
They're buying with the covenant on title, so they are a party to that, so they have to comply with the covenant.
Okay. Councillor Wood, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And just for some background for the gallery and people who are possibly watching this video, we've had emails at council for us to enforce things that the city is not a party to, because there are covenants on people's titles. And then an owner starts to do something to their property. And then this other property owner who knows that it's part of their covenants on their property, we get emails, angry emails. Why isn't the city enforcing something? And then after some digging, and I did a whole lot of learning, the city is not a party to those things, and so we can't enforce it. And hence this conversation where if the city is a party to covenants, then we are allowed to, mitigate whatever is going on in the subdivision. So I just want to kind of give a background to that, because we've learned that from emails that we received. Thanks.
Thank you. I just have a quick comment with this slide up. Nigel had mentioned anyways that these are the numbers that you're looking at, but you are open to changing those numbers or did I misread your statement?
No, we just want to stay with the 52 units as originally agreed to with this landowner. That's been our goal the whole time.
With the 52?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't consider possibly not utilizing the 8 Riverside lots and just proceeding with 44?
I don't think the owner would accept that.
Okay, just had to ask.
I mean, we've looked at subdividing it as RS1. We have that plan. This is a better plan in my opinion, I guess, is a quick answer.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And perhaps this is a question more for Mr. Russell. I'm curious because I'm not very clear on what is the difference in size with the small lot as opposed to the standard single lot, the single family lot. Like, is the one twice the size of the other, or how do they compare? If I could ask that, please.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Beal, I believe the small lot zone allows for a minimum parcel size of 300 square meters, which is roughly 3,000 square feet. Just put a 0 on the end, gives you four persons calculator. And then this RS1 is 560 square meters. But that's where there's water or sewer service available. Without those services, the minimum size under RS1 is 4,100 square meters.
Carla, go ahead. Yep.
The reason I ask about that is that going back to with RS1, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but one could theoretically have up to 4 dwelling units, but in fact, it's only in 2 buildings the way we have it here in Parksville. So just to keep that in mind, I think when people hear 4, they're thinking that somehow RS1, you could actually have 4 houses on there, and that's not the case. We could have 2 buildings, 2 houses if you like, but each one could have a separate suite in it. So I'm trying to look at what that density would look like compared to what we're presented with here.
If I may follow up to Director of Planning, that's absolutely what we don't want. So we want 1 dwelling unit per lot. So those RS1 lots will be locked into the same single dwelling unit per lot. We can apply that covenant across as well. And the other piece I wanted to add is we want these lot sizes. We don't want to go to 300 square meters. So if that needs to be locked in through rezoning, we are more than happy to do that as well. So to lock in these larger, small lot sizes. So we can do a lot specific lot. So your minimum lot size for this property could be 440 square meters under that zone.
Yeah. Just a question for yourself again, Nigel. I understand you'll be bringing in the infrastructure for this water and sewer. Does it already come close to water and sewer? Does it come close to your property line?
Sewer's on Despard.
Sewer line's already there?
Yes, and the water's the big stretch, 1 kilometer-ish, and it's about $1 million. So it's a pretty
Just
big.
for the water line.
It's a pretty big
To bring
expenditure.
in your C900.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then the sewer capacity, I'm assuming that your team has already looked at it because this is a considerable, looking at 52 units now. So the sewer capacity line is already suitable to handle that volume.
We're working through that right now. So that's part of the ongoing technical discussion. Yep.
Okay, thank you. That's quite the volume increase to that. I'm just.
And
surprised.
following up, we don't want to do it for 240 dwelling units.
Yeah, that's true enough. Right. Okay. That's it for me. Anybody else have anybody else or any comments? Seeing none. Thanks, Nigel and your team. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of information there. Thank you for your time. So I'm gonna have to fill up my water glass for this one. The next report on the agenda is from Mayor O'Brien regarding the 2022 to 2026 council team successes. An overview of council achievements during this term. All in the efforts of being more transparency and for all those questions on the street, what the heck did you guys do for the last 4 years? So this is what it's going to come into here, folks. And so it'll be, I'll try to talk slow enough that you understand me, but not fast enough that you don't understand me. So as a reminder, council was elected in 2022. We developed a strategic plan with 6 priority areas of focus. This council's goals were intended to make this a great place to live, work, and play. They included reviewing our OCP, which will begin next year, undertaking a comprehensive technical study of our drinking water systems to ensure we are ready to continue providing safe, clean, and high-quality drinking water to the community for generations to come. Investing in recreation amenities, engaging the community, and advocating for service level improvements from senior governments. Just up on the slide deck here, OCP. The next slide, please. There you go. Here we go. That's my lead. We led council through the committee of the whole last winter to define and focus the scope and priorities in the upcoming OCP review. Staff were directed to issue the request for proposals, the RFP, for a consultant to lead the critical public engagement piece. I expect a new term of council to select a preferred consultant and get down to business regarding initiating the plan review in 2027. So I served on the OCP committee previously and encouraged residents from the city of Parksville to get involved with this process. It's an amazing learning experience and a great way to benefit your community. And so that'll be coming up. We'll be looking for participants to help us form our new OCP. So stay tuned, folks. We need your help. Other key areas of focus after the OCP was we have council council plays a critical role. Oh, I see. I'm supposed to read the small print there if I can. Let's back up. Now we're just going to talk about that because I can see. You can see up on the slide, council plays a critical role in providing support for a better community. Through my term, I have written many detailed letters of support and advocated to the province to approve a 10-day daycare program at the city's Jensen Center. I was excited to join MLA Hickinson, an executive director, president of the BGC, to make this announcement in the spring. This is a life-changing funding decision for all of the families who have children attending the daycare center, allows them to run businesses or work in our downtown, providing important services to our residents and visitors. Some families will actually save $20,000 a day cost per year, which is an important initiative. We've also as well, I've spent many hours since becoming mayor meeting with doctors, the Ministry of Health, Division of Family Practice, Mid-Island Healthcare Alliance, and others to see how we can entice doctors to come to our area. I attended an excellent networking summary event at the North Island Vancouver Island Health Summit with an interdisciplinary team, spent the day developing ideas and strategies to bring medical practitioners to our North Island region. Currently working formally with several other groups to identify other spaces in Parksville and Oceanside for new doctors and practitioners. We are seeing solid progress on the issue. We have welcomed 6 new doctors to the area and 2 LPNs to make them immediately have an impact on our community. We are another good initiative that we took on. I met with the executive director of the specialized group for brain injury rehabilitation, adjacent to one of the proposals that came up earlier this afternoon, for the Connect Communities, which is now being built as we speak, which is going to be offering 24/7 housing and care for people with acquired brain injuries. This vital service allows families to stay close to their loved ones who need this acute level of daycare in our area. So people that have strokes and so forth, that have injuries in our area, have a home facilities within the city of Parksville that they don't have to travel elsewhere for the rehabilitation and rehab on it. And we were chosen when they came up and we toured the site together up in Moliette, and we decided that this is going to be an excellent location for this type of medical facility. And so we're very proud that they chose us. I'm going to walk because I can't see my notes quick here. So here we go. Housing was a particular favorite of many of us here. We increase housing supply, which equals lower costs and greater affordability. We successfully implemented mandated change from the province to allow higher density in all RS1 zones, apply professional reliance lens, traffic management, architecture and design, engineering standards, and amenities. At this time, where there are 12 active subdivision applications representing approximately 78 new potential lots, 56 of which are part of an existing subdivision on the north side of Despard Avenue. With a couple of exceptions, the majority of development projects are considered infill, which is more affordable to service and provides critical housing, middle housing for younger families. Developers pay for the installation of new services and contribute important amenities such as fire, department supports, transit, and recreational improvements, and pedestrian bicycle infrastructure. Also, with their assessments and improved assessments, they contribute vastly to our property tax revenue. It's easier. So, affordable housing is one of our big goals that we had as a council, to make sure we had plenty of affordable housing and we encourage more affordable housing. Currently, we have the existing housing agreements already in place with the city. I'm not going to name them all off here, but basically, I'm going to add up in my head, there are about 200 already existing affordable housing units. BC Housing is subsidized 55 plus, includes those at Moliette Street, another 69 units for that. Not yet to be built, but we're awaiting provincial funding to be renewed at 368 Moliette Street for the Bolinas Housing up Moliette for phase 2. And we're waiting for another approval by the province on that, and as well as on 1225 Franklin Gull Road for 36 units, which is going to be below market, resulting in potentially 25 affordable units in that total. So the affordable housing, we're continuing to address it, and we're watching for opportunities, but we realize that this is just one factor of our balanced vision of housing for the city of Parksville. As a large part of my weekly schedule, including meetings where applicants and developers who are deciding where to invest their dollars, I want to emphasize that when we talk with developers, we're not afraid of talking with developers. We expect growth in our city, but it's up to us to manage that growth. And many times when I'm lucky enough to have them sitting across my desk, I make sure I mention to them that we don't want just mediocre products here. I want exemplary projects, and that the developers have stepped up to the plate in numbers anyways to give us excellent products that are coming forward. That I said, basically, I want these guys to win award-winning projects for their buildings and developments, and make Parksville an even better place, but give good choices and options for our citizens. The other award-winning projects in my mind is one that we won the award for the outdoor theater, also won in the community park. The Jensen Center renovation was shortlisted, and our boardwalk renovation is being considered for an award as well. Several of our recent multifamily projects have been nominated for awards because of the guidance and suggestions that we share from our community members, including options like rainwater capture, welcome common areas, EV charging, solar-ready installation, and pedestrian connectivity through the site and with the neighborhood. And those are the meeting today saw all of that in action when the council's making sure that these amenities are attracted and coming to our city and to make a better build for everybody. For those that were here in the morning, they would understand even more clearly about the drinking water study that we implemented. And one of proud moments that we did as council is leading the initiation of a comprehensive master plan for drinking water for the city. Many years I've been working on this, like for 20 years, about the water issue. So I'm very glad to see this study come into fruition, and we're moving along with phase 2. We just received the phase 1 study, and there's work to do to narrow the focus, as we're trying to do this morning. And I think we gained some ground. We use grant money to fund this extensive analysis and minimize impacts on the tax rates. So that's another good news story. Small print, accessibility improvements. Under the terms of the accessibility improvements, of course, we have an accessibility committee now, and we have proud members of the Access Oceanside, actually maybe in the room today. Welcome. Thank you. One of the key issues that we worked with, and I got to say, it was thanks to initiative with Ralph from Access Oceanside. We brought in the Moby Mats and Beats Access with the collaboration with our partners here. I have to say that it was probably one of the most emotional and rewarding days when we opened the Moby Mat and we had a lineup of people finally getting to have water access at our beautiful community beach that they had no access before. The Moby Mat here was packed day, and as I say, our staff recognized that the huge contribution that they had to make it work, and it's continued to work and make sure it's engineered and designed properly to continue to provide safe access to the beach over that sand that's not very friendly to walking, assisted walking devices. So I'm very proud of that, and proud of our staff, and just proud of our community for coming together on that. We have new investments in sidewalks on Alberni, Jensen, and Stanford. You see what's happening on Alberni. People have been calling me regularly, what's happening on Alberni right behind me here. And that's a new sidewalk there. We completed a all-accessible new washroom in the community park with automatic door openers and so forth. And we have door openers at the PCTC, Foster Park at Springwood as well. Sidewalk maintenance to try and do proactive repairs that unfortunately, all of our trees have a tendency to try and get the roots through, and some heaving, but we continue to repair and fix those where we can. There is an interactive accessibility map has been initiated, and transit planning with the RDN as well. So we're continuing on with our improvements. We've got a long way to go, folks, but we're on a path, and we have a plan to continue to make our city even more accessible. So some successful projects in the business improvement area. Staff completed the finishing touches to the gathering place last summer and added some beautiful lighting to extend the enjoyment of space into the late evenings. And it's just an incredible site. That's another award-winning project as far as I'm concerned, because of the colors on the tables and the picnic areas that have been added to that area. So it's just been a great people gathering place, and it's every week, well, every day it's busy. Now we had the 2022 to 2026 projects. The city approves and facilitates the safe delivery of over 500 events in the community park. 500, including large-scale concerts at the outdoor theater, which continues to draw thousands of people to the business area in Parksville. We are happy to partner with the Beach Fest to manage rentals for the space and organize this wonderful entertainment through the summer season. Some well-known names have been here as well, and we already know April Wine played last week, a little bit wet. Didn't dampen the enthusiasm of those attended because they were dancing in the rain. Blue Rodeo is coming later on in a couple of weeks, and they're performing, and I think it's sold out. Anybody wants cheap seats, you can always go down to the park and sit outside and listen to them. I'm sure you'll be able to hear them. The Downtown Lighting Project is another great initiative that we worked on in coordination with the Parksville Downtown Business Association. We discussed ways to brighten the downtown. There's many other examples that we have observed in British Columbia that have very viable downtowns, and it's to be done with effective lighting. So we've worked with consultants and so forth to make sure we get it right. And we have plans for that to continue on. We added some lights along Alberni, and they were somewhat effective, but we have a consultant working in, and so we'll be putting that together. I believe it's going to be in 27. It's 3-year, once again, phased project to bring more attractive and viability and lighting to downtown on the way. We have also approved a new position in our city staff to coordinate safe delivery of almost 1,000 events throughout the year, with many of these occurring at the community park. The important role has already demonstrated its value as we continue to deliver multiple events on a given day with very few incidents or problems. The work that goes into making this looks like a smooth process, but there's a lot of work involved, and our team is amazing at what they do to accommodate so many groups with a wide range of interests. I'm very proud that we were able to welcome back the car show this year to our park. The Cars on the Grass was a huge success, and they're back as well as the Shriners Breakfast, which was hugely popular and well attended. And we also, in 2025, we welcomed over 120,000 visitors in July and August alone. We had a very successful summer season, and we continue to improve the site for the Beach Fest, to relocate the sand sculpting competition to a more accessible location with improved configuration to reduce all the congestion that was happening at the boardwalk. So Board Fest continues to grow and improve. We have updates to our recreation amenities, mostly grant funding. We have had the new playground at Shelley Community Center on Pioneer. And I want to give particular thanks to Councillor Beal anyways, that really got the ball rolling on that one. And I have to say that having walking through the neighborhood recently, it is already packed with kids that are using this new playground on Shelley, at the Shelley Community Center. So it's a great addition to the area. Lots of trees too, so it's an amazing spot. We are also upgrades our plan for the lacrosse box, the only outdoor lacrosse facility in Mid-Island, to resurface the space and maintain multi-sport options on a sanctioned size box. Basketball court lines maintain a lacrosse box for outdoor pickup tournaments. Permanent pickleball courts will be resurfaced, and tennis focus at Springwood resurfaced as well. So it's this council has so many items on its agendas. It's just amazing sometimes. So we're all getting approvals, and we all get our ideas together to say we feel that this needs to be done, or we can support this. How are we going to make things happen? But we've been able to do that with very active participation from our community groups that work with us and suggest what we need. Like I was approached by a community member that said that their basketball facilities down in the community park needed upgrading, and I didn't think anybody even used it or things. And sure enough, he says, well, actually, there's the pickup league that likes to play hoops outside. It's preferred actually to the gymnasium. So they have pickup games there all the time. It is now included in our reconfiguration for the lacrosse box. So it's going to be multi-use. They're going to be pickleballers there, basketball players, street hockey players, and that's about it. Lacrosse. So we have our Shelley Community Center continues to thrive. I know the managers that run the place, and there's often the parking lot is filled with people in our community. The playground and outdoor exercise to continue to attract hundreds of families every day in a safe environment, and we've been mindful of waste conservation measures in the peak summer dry season. Is that the question? Is it being scaled back? I was unclear.
Yeah, we monitor that throughout the season, and sometimes we do scale back the hours based on the weather and how dry things are out there.
Okay, good. Okay, so those kids get there later and leave earlier. Don't use too much water. Anyways, so we're looking forward to more uses, even more. The area of the park, we already talked about the accessible washrooms. We did a service level reward, which was an exciting one for the public waste receptacles. We carried on with. The director of planning was able to judge the competing workloads to get the new downtown patio program in place this summer. Did a lot of work in the background. So you're starting to see patios outside the coffee shops and restaurants in the city core, and we encourage that to happen. And you're going to see more of them in the future. Vibrancy again for our downtown. Another amazing event was the opening of the Oceanside Track. After several decades, we finally got everything coordinated, all moving in the same direction. I've been involved in this project for many, many years, as other members of the council have as well, to finally make this a reality and provide a safe, accessible for people to train, rehab, or just stay healthy in the city. The completion of this project supports council's strategic priority of investing in recreational amenities. We also had a busy time anyways with our transportation master plan. There's already a lot of improvements already on the way on the sidewalks and so forth. And they're taking time as well because many of the suggestions will require funding. And so we have a tendency to phase these. And, you know, my vision, of course, to make a safe, better community environment through traffic calming and traffic calming initiatives. We're working on that. It may be a bit of a struggle, but we're trying to move in the same direction. But anyways, we're moving forward. Environmental projects and priorities has been the urban forestry strategy. The recommendations received, we had 200 trees planted at the former landfill site. Invasive species management, professional design for plantings in public spaces, butterfly, bees, and birds in urban refuges and public spaces. That's our great team. We go through updates through all the with our CAO. The next new signage in the wetlands has been taking place. The wetlands is another great project. As we have extra plantings in there, but we also have interpretive signage and so forth, even trail signage for those people that get lost in the woods, and you can now find your way out. The other things I want to talk about, talking about our parks, many of the residents in our area help us to manage our parks. It's a very expensive proposition with all of our park staff to manage these host events. And I have to give a shout out to Foster Park and Shelley Creek Park have neighborhood associations that actually have adopted the parks in their neighborhood. They get in there, they pull out invasive species, they have events there, they have the Easter egg hunt there and so forth. It's a great adoption by the neighborhoods to take over a lot of the management and health of those parks. So thanks for those neighborhoods for really helping us participate. We have our new Let's Talk Parksville is up and running. We want to encourage transparency and proactive communication with our team. Council proactively shares and highlights summaries on our websites day after our meetings. We have the Parksville pathway that's under construction, you know, from Nervous Lane, that's going to go all the way first phase to Shelley Road. And that's going to run adjacent to the Nature Trust Park down in the community park. It's well underway and it's due for completion November 27th to the first phase. And then we're looking at second phase that will happen the first phase will be done in November 2026. And then the second phase will take over to be completed in 27. That will take it to give access to the Orange Bridge. As part of the RDN, we're participants in supporting the pool referendum. As you know, we tried offering a pool. Part of some of our election promises was look at having a swimming pool in Parksville due to a petition that we received previous on the past council. We took that whole study to fruition and took it to the consultants, and we came back, and the costs were just so prohibitive. We talked to the people that wanted the swimming pool in the first place, say that they still want to go ahead with it, but with the cost coming in so high, they felt that a tax increase of such magnum proportions would not be suitable at this time. So we backed off, and we were able to get some grant funding through the RDN that we were able to turn into a Ravensong renew of the facilities there. And that is going ahead now with the 7 million grant funding that the city of Parksville advocated with our local federal authorities. More good news. We have achieved a lot in 4 years. The projects, the OCP, no, I already got that covered. Just a shout out to a couple of the organizations that deserve a shout out at this time. Special thanks go to the Rotary for the weekly bottle drops hosted at the Speedy Autoglass site every Saturday. Rotarians, just ordinary people doing extraordinary things in our local club, has a tremendous positive impact on our community, donating money to many charities and hosting important community events. They donated $6,000 to Shelley Park. They give $5,000 to the Mac Community Art Garden, $40,000 over 2 years to Forward House, and supported the ALS Walk. Thanks very much, Rotary. The Parksville Fire Rescue Fill the Boots for Food Drive was once again a huge success because of community generosity. A total of $98,714 in cash for the Salvation Army Food Bank was collected over the weekend, with 60 new unwrapped toys for the Society of Organized Services as well. I have to shout out, though, to a very special group in our community, part of our Parksville team at Craig Bay. Craig Bay residents continue their generosity this year, donating 2,941 pounds of food and grocery items to fill the food bank shelves, and a record $76,000 in cash donations to keep those shelves filled for the coming months. An incredible effort by the people of Craig Bay. I'm so proud that they are part of our community. Thanks for all they do. We also have the Parksville Community Center Society, which also has taken up to hosting regular pop-up recycling events at the industrial park. I wrote a letter of support to assist with their grant funding applications. They were successful, and they continue to do the very difficult work of providing recycling, saving a lot of people having to venture down to Nanaimo. Another one that has come to mind anyways as members of our community that need a shout out. It's the Evergreen Hospitality Group, has several hotels in Parksville and has invested significant dollars in renovating historic hotels and motels to offer high quality but affordable accommodation. Note, though, is the corporation's offers to discount accommodation for volunteers and participants in our special events, which benefit all of our community. So when people come to attend an event here, the Evergreen Group actually offers special accommodation fees, anyways, to encourage them to enjoy their stay in Parksville. We have a couple really big developments. I talked about exemplary developments. You all heard me. We have a couple that are going on. The Primex development is come forth, Westmark, down by Serious Coffee there. And when I see the amount of trades that come out of that site every day, it just blows me away, because these are our kids from graduated from Bolinas High School and Qualicum High School that it's chose to go into the trades programs, and we need a lot more trades into the apprentice program. And now they're working in the city that they actually got their education of, and there's a whole team, there's like 1,000 quitting time at the end of the day. Just amazing to see amount of these youth getting the experience, but actually making a difference at good paying jobs. And so I'm thankful for our development community that puts out projects like this that actually employs a lot of people. It's good for the economy. Thank you for that. And I think that's about it. So thank you so much for bearing with me and going through one pitcher of water. But it's just our time to shine, to say what this council has achieved in this last 4 years, and with lots more plans for the city of Parksville in the coming years. So thank you, council, for your collaboration and your efforts of this. It's been busy, probably busier than any other term than I've witnessed at the city. The staff say definitely busy, but at the same time, and a shout out to our incredible staff that have accommodated many of our requests and got it done in time and under budget. And that's a huge achievement. So thank you very much. So. Yes, okay. I'm just pulling out my notes here. Oh, my mic. So council, do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendation that the report from Mayor O'Brien dated July 14th, 2026, entitled 2022 to 2026 council term successes be received? I move in a seconder, please. Moved by Council Kind of stuff. Yeah, okay. I'll move it and Councillor Goris will agree to second it. Any discussion? Comments? Council? Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Just a quick thanks to you, Mayor. It's my first term, not really knowing what to do, learning on the job. It's been wonderful working with you for the last 4 years, and rest of your council members. Yeah, thank you for everything, and it's been really a great learning experience, and I enjoyed serving the community in the last 4 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Gore. It's been quite the journey, I gotta say, and I'm very appreciative of what we've accomplished, and I'm very proud. So, all those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is, sorry for the commercial, folks, but you know, if you had to pay for Netflix, you wouldn't get the commercial. The next report on the agenda is Director of Community Planning and Building, the follow-up report for the development variance permit application at 245 Roscoe Street to consider issuance of a development variance permit. Do I have anyone in the gallery who wishes to provide comment to council on the proposed variance? Anybody online, Ms. Weeks? Thank you. Do I have a mover and second for the recommendation in your package? Moved by Councillor Grenz, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Carries. The next report on the agenda is also from the Director of Community Planning and Building, the follow-up report for the official community plan and zoning amendment application at 457 and 489 Stanford Avenue East and 472 Island Highway East. Do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendations as noted? Moved by Councillor Beal, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to council. Couple of things I like about this proposal is it's good to see some residential use in there. I do believe that currently it's underutilized. The pathway connecting Stanford to the highway, I think that's a really good highlight of this project. I had the opportunity to speak with the neighbors, folks from the Shelley Mobile Home Park. Yeah. They had expressed concern, so that was my question to the presenter, if they heard anything from the community. I heard some strong opposition from those members about this OCP amendment. Even though I do see an opportunity for rezoning of this to include some mixed use, I will not support the density as proposed. But it's definitely in the direction I want to see that part of our town have some residents and some commercial, but not what's being proposed at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or go ahead, Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. Just building on Councillor Gore's comments, I think especially the pathway through would be really cool. I'm kind of interested in public hearing, which this requires. The province has restricted when we get public hearings. I know they're, can sometimes be a little long for everybody involved, but I think it's important, an important part of our democracy. And I think all the mayor and council listen to the people at the public hearing and listen to input. So for that reason, I'd like to, proceed, if only to get to a public hearing, which we seem to have less and less of these days. Thanks.
Good. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, I would also like to see this move forward, and there's an opportunity for community input. I'd also like to note that and it wasn't something I asked at the time, but realizing that, thinking about the folks at Shellybrook Mobile Home Park across the way, that the width of the road there adds to that sense of setback, that separation, but also the property itself is mostly lower. Actually, as I say that, maybe it isn't. Now that I think about it, the property beside it, though, is definitely one goes down to get into that property. So I'm hoping that that's actually true of this particular property as well, which also effectively lowers the overall height, which again has less of an impact on neighbors across the way. But yes, I'd like to see this advance. I think that it has many things to offer in its favor.
Councillor Grant, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and a question through to staff, just in terms of some of the conversation that came up with the proponent here earlier around some affordable units within the development. Is this something that was discussed at all or proposed or brought up at all with the proponent during the staff discussions?
If I may,
If you could comment, please.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Guns, we're not able to really comment on specific applicants, but I can say that we do have the conversation with all of our applicants regarding different options with housing as well as opportunities for affordable units.
Thank you. And so I wonder whether there's maybe opportunity to incorporate this into the plan, but I don't know how that would happen. But it's I think something that a number of councillors have raised as something to think about. And if it's a rental property and they're looking to build something below the number of units that they would be permitted to build within, if this were to be changed, then maybe there's opportunity to add some units that would have sort of some internal affordability measures in place.
Do you want to formalize that with a comment? CAO Kaler can comment on that. Go ahead. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention, we've had this conversation a couple of times with council, and as you mentioned, Mayor O'Brien, we are embarking on an OCP review fairly soon. Council has to be cautious of treating all applications and applicants the same. And so I think a preferred option would be to have some clear policy direction. We do already have quite a bit of policy and bylaw direction for folks that want to voluntarily take advantage of that. But I would just be cautious about, suggesting it to one developer when perhaps we didn't suggest it to another developer a few weeks back or something like that. So the better option I would suggest is have this discussion with the community in the OCP process, and then perhaps amend or strengthen or add more detail to our current affordable housing policies that are in the OCP in several different areas. And I would say, I think at the moment, we're strongly supportive of it and have a lot more of the carrot approach. And if council or the community thinks that's not strong enough, then there is a really good opportunity coming up to have that across the board, so everybody's on the same kind of page as they move through a process.
Thank you. I appreciate that additional information, and I know it's come up a few times, and I think what has changed also recently is that we've seen a non-market project that the city has quite significantly supported and done a lot of work to bring to the finish line, and then only to see that not get picked up by the province. So the carrot, I don't know how many times the carrot's being taken up, and now that we see the province not delivering on what they previously were delivering on. So that now behooves us maybe as a community to think, okay, are there other things we can do here at home to incentivize more affordable housing within existing developments? But I don't know where, point is taken that maybe we just have to push that off to the OCP. But I guess the question is whether there's any way to do that within things that are coming up in the meantime, and maybe not.
Thank you. Councilor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And maybe our CAO might answer this. Isn't there some buildings that we've had built here in Parksville that a percentage of the building was below market? Because I know people who were so thrilled that they could get into a building and they got a discount on their rent. They were seniors, I think, or something. Thank you.
CAO Kaler, please.
Thank you. If I might just go back to one of your slides in your presentation, Mayor O'Brien, I think it was like 284 units. And then an additional 69 and another sort of 80 in the works. And we do have buildings that are partially affordable housing. And then the rest of them are market housing. So that's definitely something that has been approved and that we've worked with people on. Maybe just a plug for those that are not familiar, that are considering a development. There's quite a few things in place already in terms of waiving development cost charges, which can be quite high for new development, or getting priority processing in the queue. So as one of the applicants mentioned today, they're like a year and a half into a process. So getting to the top of the queue might be good for saving some money and getting your application processed more quickly. And we also have quite a few other things that were mentioned a little bit too around density bonus and being able to build more units. So if you do affordable housing, you can sometimes offset that cost by having more units. So there's a lot. I encourage anyone to, we have a brochure online and we have a lot of different things in place already that if you're interested in that at the outset of your proposal, we do mention it to people when they first come in with their sort of early stage plans, but it's not feasible in every situation, but it's definitely something that is very easy for interested parties to find. So just a reminder for anyone who's outside of our community, maybe new, there's a lot out there that might benefit your proposal. So.
Thank you. Are there first time speakers? And Councillor Braz, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Council to Council through the mayor. I think this is a much better land utilization here to be able to bring forward some housing to this area. I don't look at it as being a major industrial area or the concerns about so much smells or the sounds of it too. There's already some apartments in that area as well, just down the corner of the street that also look over car dealerships there or the farmland nearby. Things like the pathway excites me. I think that it completes a component that is a big benefit to the community. So I hope that the community has a chance for the public hearing and consider it on those sides of it as well. As far as like affordable housing, and the DCC waivers and things like that, when we waive DCCs, that cost just gets shoveled down to the next person or on spread out a little bit more. So it doesn't really bring the greater benefit to the whole community. When we increase housing supply and it frees up other housing through there, that can help bring down the costs across the board. So there's a cost, a win-win, no matter how you look at it. So I'm not as concerned about bringing in the affordable housing. I like bringing in the housing supply in general. Something to keep in mind though, as we develop, as we increase availability and population and things, it does increase services demands in the community as well. And things that can't always be accounted for, whether it's like more parks or more snow clearing that comes in from, things like that, and which then more admin staff and so on and so forth. So, there's always those costs to be considered. Yes, we get more property taxes or better utilization of property taxes that way, but then down the line comes higher servicing costs as well. So overall though, for this kind of a property, I think that the improvement from what's currently being there is wonderful. I think that area is becoming more popular for people to live in and use as well. So I think it's a great project. I was excited when we first saw it years ago. I hope it's not going to be put on the back burner again and that it can come forward in some time in the next few years, have this be something that we can see brought to fruition. So I'm definitely in support at this stage.
Thank you. And I'll just tag on with Councillor Fraz's comments about affordable housing. There's always the appeal to have more affordable housing. But as Councillor Fraz mentioned, you got to be careful as a municipality on how much you have. It has to be balanced because more affordable housing comes at a higher cost to the local taxpayers that are already here. And that comes in the form of, I can just take one example, Franklin Gull. The property is owned by the city of Parksville, which is the city of Parksville citizens own that property. We are donating that. That's a city of Parksville asset, probably in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million donated. That's your money that we're donating to make this affordable. We also are deleting the DCCs from it, which is quite costly now, as you know. We also forever do not collect any property taxes on it. As Councillor Fraz mentioned, the individuals in these affordable housing projects are going to need more services. But they're not paying for those services like everyone else does in this city. For the amount of services we have is paid for by your property taxes. So although it's admirable to have it, you can't overdo it. You can bankrupt your taxpayers by making it too expensive to pay taxes, so other people can have affordable housing. Yes, it's our social responsibility, we get that, but you have to make sure that it's managed. It doesn't take over your housing strategy, as others would try and tell us that that's what we have to have. You saw the facts up there. We've done very well. If you look at our numbers that we have for affordable housing as compared to another one on the island for the amount of affordable housing that they have, Parksville exceeds anybody else.
Can we speak to the motion, Mayor, please? Thank
I
you.
am. And I'll continue to run the meeting. Thank you. If I want your help, I'll ask. So to speaking to Councillor Fraz's, the affordable housing is a very real issue. So it comes up in the discussion, and that's part of the discussion we're having here. So I am supportive of this project. I think it's a win-win. I totally like the idea of bringing the vitality and the livability to this area of Parksville, and I'm looking forward to supporting it further. Thank you. Councillor Gorey, you had your hand up.
Thank you. The reason for the density housing question was in the staff report, it mentioned that currently there are 114 units that are allowed, and the proponent is proposing 134 to get that additional density. That was the reason why I raised the question if some of those additional units be affordable. And I think, Mr. Russell, you're probably answering this question second time, but is the applicant allowed 114 units on this current rezoning that they're asking for, or are they getting a density bonus on this application? Thank you.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Gore, they're proposing to work within the standard density parameters of the zone. So at this moment in time, they're not proposing to use the bonus density provisions. It doesn't mean they couldn't change that, but you know, as whatever market conditions change, whatever. But at this point in time, that's not what's being proposed. I do want to clarify, I suspect the change is primarily to have two buildings that are of the same design. There were one was slightly smaller previously. So now both buildings are proposed to be 67 units, which I suspect allows for more efficient building construction.
Right, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And only because it was brought up when you were speaking, I would like to clarify for people around the table and elsewhere, there is a very distinct difference between affordable housing, which is market housing. Okay, I'd like to clarify that, which is quite different from non-market housing, which is generally managed by society or however it's done. The property at Franklin Gull, donated by the city, is non-market housing. That is not the same as affordable housing, which is a formula based on a percentage of the median income for the area, but it is market housing.
Terminology, good, thank you. Councillor Grant.
Thank you. And one more layer on that is that there are other models as well that go beyond like DCCs and that sort of thing. One being the Vienna model, where non-market housing is built with a fund that is recycled through subsequent projects. But anyway, I digress. With regard to this particular proposal, I'm prepared to vote to see it go to public hearing. Although I do have some reservations that I did raise in my questions around the neighboring use. And I look back to a similar proposal that was brought previously on Pioneer Crescent that this to me resembles very much that in that it's kind of the neighboring use, the neighboring density is quite a bit different, and the uses neighboring the proposed property are quite different. And in this case, we have ALR land and farming land, and I'm always definitely alive to what happens when higher density developments are landed next to agriculture land. And then now the farmers are left having to explain why they are farming, which they're permitted to do. And I've seen, for example, in Surrey, where new neighbors complained about long use of blueberry farms or other farms in that area. Now there are townhomes there, and the new townhome owners can't understand why there are these things happening next door to them that have been happening in this farmland for generations in some cases. So those are some concerns I'm going to be listening to what comes up in the public hearing.
Thank you. Any further comments? All those in favor? Those opposed? I know Councillor Gore is opposed. Thank you. The next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building for the official community plan and zoning amendment application at 353 Moliette Street South. Do I move or second for the recommendations, please? Moved by Councillor Grenz, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any comments or concerns? You put up your hand. Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another application to change the OCP and if you look at the streetscape, if you look at adjacent properties, you start one off with an OCP amendment, then it all sets a precedent and everything looks like it's falling in place. However, the OCP envisioned a whole different development vision for the future of that street. I do like the concept of the townhouses that are being proposed, but I'm not sure if I'm a fan of these 3-story stacked townhomes on close to a 1 acre property, 24. I'm not sure. It looks like too much density to me, to be honest. I could definitely see something like an RS2 zone instead of an RS1 that currently sits there, which is within the OCP. Much better mix of housing that will be supported with an RS2. So on that note, I'm not sure where the rest of the council is on this, but currently I cannot support a change to the OCP. As you mentioned, we are looking at, community has been looking at revising this OCP for a while. Changing it now seems very premature and not the right move at this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Grenz, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be supporting this for similar reasons that Councillor Gore raised to not support it. It's, as I look at the neighboring properties to this one, while I am usually not, I hesitate around OCP amendments, but I think this one is, if you look across the street and you look next door to this property and what is planned and what's going to happen on the other side of this property, this to me looks like it would fit in nicely. And it's a different housing style than I think we've seen in the community that is kind of between an apartment and a townhouse. And I do like that concept, and hearing about the success in Campbell River of this concept, I believe it, because having a pet-friendly building that has that kind of access, not having to go through a lobby, it feels much less apartmenty and a lot more like a townhome or something that's more like a walk-up feel, which I do like that. And I think it would fit nicely with what's immediately across the street, which is the same kind of, those are actually townhomes. And then with what's like next door on the other side, we have multi-story apartment buildings there. So this is, I think, kind of doing a nice graduation down to what it becomes down the hill to the north. So I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Witt, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to go over what we are discussing, one is to be received. The second is to provide public engagement, such as a developer hosted public open house. And then the third thing is to consider these sections, Local Government Act, to provide an opportunity for a consultation with the Ministry of Transportation, Transit, and School District. And so for me, I want to give the property owner an opportunity to take it to the next steps, where we hear from a variety of groups, including the public and Ministry of Transportation and School District 69. So for me, I'm going to support this to go to the next step. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comment? Okay, I'll wind up. I'm fully supportive of this project. I particularly I won't touch what everybody else said for supporting it, but I would notice the fact that the Connect building for brain injury individuals is in the nearby vicinity, and it also has a pitched roof, which was surprising to see. It has a pitched roof, and the townhouses have pitched roof, and I think it's an excellent design for this build. It's a nice transition into that neighborhood, and I think I truly like the three-story townhouse concept. It's very creative, and it's obviously well accepted in Campbell River, this proposal, or else you wouldn't be proposing it here. So thank you for that. I will be supporting this. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Note Council Gore is opposed. Thank you. The next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building, the zoning amendment application at 520 and 530 Martindale Road to consider as zoning and development bylaw amendment. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation? Okay, so note the recommendation number 2 is that council select one addendum resolution from the 2 options provided in the analysis section of this report. So I'm going to split this out, and to those that know the 2 options that are reported in the report is council may advance the application, number 1, or number 2, deny the application. So I'd ask for a mover and a seconder for the first portion to be received. Moved by Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any comments to receive the report? All those in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. I'll look for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that council select one additional resolution from the 2 options provided in the analysis section of this report to put forth a resolution at this time to either support or deny the application. Sorry? Yeah. Councillor Gore? Councillor Gore?
Yes, thank you. I'll make a motion to deny this at this time, if I have a seconder.
Thank you. I'll look for a seconder.
I do not have a seconder.
Second for discussion.
Seconded by Councillor Grens. Open for discussion. Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to start off by thanking the applicant. I do believe a lot of restrictions and covenants have been put in place. I appreciate that. I really do. I think what's allowed, you gave us a nice background on what could potentially be built with all the restrictions that you're willing to put on to have it fit into the neighborhood. Try and protect the river as much as you can, mitigate the flooding situation and everything. My concern again is those RS1 properties that are close to the river. If in the revised plan, if that's where it goes, if we do not have those RS1 properties and we have this increased buffer to the river, I think SLR1 could be supported. I could see that potentially be supported by myself. It's a few things about these properties. Again, the ecological sensitivity, proximity to the river, but also a lot of mature trees that are on this property that add to the ecological sensitivity and the overall health of the river. With the current zone, the density that's being proposed, and I'm appreciative of the parkland dedication and everything. I think we'll lose a lot of those, and that will negatively impact the river and the overall ecosystem. So for that reason, I'm asking to deny this, hopefully to see a revised proposal, but we'll see what the rest of council has to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe I should have clarified, I abbreviated from the minutes as compared to what the actual carrying and defeating would look like. I'd like to reiterate to council anyways, that option 1, I'll read out the entire text instead of just approving or not. That option 1, that the owner of 520 and 530 Martindale Road or their agent install notice signs on the subject properties at their expense, a minimum of 10 days prior to the introduction and consideration of first reading of the zoning and development amendment bylaw. As well, number 4, that staff be directed to refer the application file number 3360-PZN061 to the Agricultural Land Commission. Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and the Regional District of Nanaimo. And that staff be directed to prepare the zoning and development application bylaw. In fairness, option 2 reads that the applicant for an amendment to the zoning and development review bylaw at 520 and 530 Martindale Road, file number 3360, PZ N061 be denied. Option 2 is the motion that is on the floor proposed by Councillor Gore. And do we have a seconder for that? So yeah, Councillor Gren seconded as well. Councillor Gore has spoken to his reason for option 2 denying. Councillor Grenz, you're next. Do you want to speak to your seconding?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council. I think Councillor Gore has raised some of the one of the key concerns, which is the proximity to the river. Council has put a lot of effort into through this term to support the river habitat. So looking at work done in the estuary, work done with the Nature Trust of BC, now known as NTBC. And so the question is, and fully recognizing the fact that there's a landowner here who should be able to use their property. So this is where the trick is how do we balance these concerns? And Councillor Gore has raised one potential way that could be done is maybe reducing those RS1 properties that are right adjacent to the river and would be within that ideal setback. And I'm also aware of the fact that there's this arrangement made with the city previously. And so that's where I'm not quite sure how we can stick handle this one. But what was presented today presents real challenges for what the river setback goals are for the community and also the flooding issues that we've seen. So I'm really torn on how do we get to a good balance with this one. And so I think denial is probably the appropriate path today, and then bring it back with other ways to address the concerns that there are here. I guess one thing I would say is that in the other resolution, it would be taken to the Agricultural Land Commission, Ministry of Transportation and Transit, Regional District of Nanaimo. I imagine we can probably have a sense of what they would probably say to this already. So is the current form of the proposal something to send to them? I'm not sure about. Would love to give them something that is something that we can support and that would mitigate all the concerns that might be brought up by I guess the ALC in particular. And then the flooding piece. Yeah, the whole property is in the floodplain. So how do we tackle that one? Yeah, it's a tough one.
Thank you. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't support denying it here at this table. It looks like there's a lot of off ramps in the process. When I read what the advance application option was for us, there's a minimum 10 days prior introduction of the considered first reading of the zoning amendment bylaw. There's signage, refer to the application to the ALC, Ministry of Transportation and Transit, RDN. The property owner has a lot of hoops they have to jump through. For me, if we can get even 33% less flooding in surrounding properties and on the road, I'd be interested to hear it. I cannot imagine what that looks like. I really can't. I have been there with the fire department when there's someone on the hood of their car and we had to wait for search and rescue to have a boat because the fire department doesn't have a boat to get her off the car. I don't see that in the engineering report that we had with this. I don't understand how it's going to work, how culverts will flow less water to the surrounding properties. I definitely don't want to make surrounding properties worse with flooding. If we can make everything better, even, a third better, well, that would be incredible. So for me, I won't support denying the application here. I definitely want more information and I want to hear the public and I want to hear from the ALC, Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and the RDN. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mary, Councillor Beal. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually have a couple of questions for our Director of Planning. And I do find this a real challenging one to have a look at and try to balance, as others have said, you know, the needs of the community and what's the best fit here. Certainly, a proposal like this with that increased density in the number of lots does not fit in very well with the surrounding property. So that has me concerned and certainly along the river. But my question for our Director of Planning, if the way it reads with the existing zoning that's there and without water access, like city water, am I correct in assuming that there could be, this could be subdivided for lots of approximately 1 acre each?
Mr. Russell,
If I may, Mayor, to Councillor Bill, that would be the case, 4,100 square meters, yeah.
And I take it then that would allow for wells and sewer, septic. And although there is the agreement with the city might still allow for hooking up to the sewer line, is that correct?
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Beal, if such an agreement is in place, then that's what it would conceivably allow for. The statutory right of way is registered on title and it's available on the city's website. It talks about the pipe going across the property.
Go ahead, Councillor Bill.
And the other part of that question is that should the proponents want to be prepared to bring in city water, at that point, then in fact, the number of lots that could be available without change would be considerably more, like in fact, would be more than what they are proposing. Is that correct?
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Beal. So potentially, if they extended the water service, however, the approving officer is not obligated to approve subdivision. So the approving officer may consider impact of adjacent properties. The approving officer may consider the public interest. So there's a number of factors that could be considered. So a subdivision isn't guaranteed because of the minimum parcel size in the zone. But theoretically, yes, if water was extended to the property, to that area, then they would be able to potentially develop under their RS1 zoning if all the other technical requirements and the public interest considerations and impact on adjacent properties were satisfied.
Hello.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm very concerned by this. It just seems like so out of keeping with the surrounding area. Furthermore, even if we're bringing in water, then I have to ask the question, since all the remaining properties or adjacent properties are primarily RDN, then that's quite a long line that a relatively small area is now contributing to maintenance of and all that sort of stuff. And in addition to concerns about the development along the river. And furthermore, this is not an area that's adjacent to shopping, to, groceries, to, it's not a really walkable area. I mean, it's certainly in there, but, to get up to areas where you're going to shop and access services, it just seems out of the way and a bit of an anomaly. So I have trouble with the proposal as it's presented.
Thank you, Councillor Beal. Any further comment? Councillor Frass, go ahead.
Thank you. Through the mayor's staff, can you speak to the agreement that they have there with the city? Maybe some background history and how the agreement is?
If I may, through to Councillor Frass, I've only seen a copy of something that was provided by the applicant. The actual agreement for the pipe that's registered on title makes no mention of the number of connections. I want to point out though, as per the proponent's presentation, the word considered is used, not approve. So I believe council has to keep an open mind and consider a proposal, but approval is a separate matter from consider.
Thank you. Follow up? Are you okay? Okay, you good? Yeah, I go to first time. Yeah, first comments, no, okay. Second comment, Councillor Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an additional comment or question about the access to the sewer line, to the wastewater treatment. And that is that we have I'm just curious how this works. If you've got this application coming forward and then there would be X number of residences that would be tied into the line. We also have in the works another application which has not yet been approved or denied on the other side of the river that again would be accessing that particular line. When an application is made and looked at, are other applications, pending applications also taken into consideration when deciding whether or not there is available space for using that facility?
If I may, Mayor, through Councillor Beal, my understanding is it's based on the water modeling of the network in the area. Like what can that specific network area handle? And they base it on OCP capacity. But it's based on the actual network in the vicinity. At least that's my understanding.
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Russell as well. I'm concerned to try and envision the extension of the water line to where this proposed development is. Will it actually provide access to water for other properties in between where it does now? That is actually City of Parksville, or the boundary lines are very challenging as in this area, as you know, where there's RDN and so forth. So by extending this water line, is that water line then potentially could be tapped into by other Parksville residents on that area, Parksville lots?
If I may, Mayor, through yourself and the rest of council, within the city boundary, the water line in closer proximity to other properties would remove a barrier for the provision of water service to those properties. Outside of the municipal boundary, current bylaw municipal policy precludes the provisioning of services outside of the boundary, at least under current regulations.
Yeah, so by this proponent actually paying for the fairly extensive water line through there, it could in fact spur a flurry of activity on the rest of Martindale to take advantage of the fact that not only do they have sewer, they now have water paid for by somebody else, actually.
If I may, Mayor, for clarification, I believe under current policy be limited to the city lot portion of properties within the city only.
Yeah, but so be it. Yes, I'm. Okay, any further comments? To the motion on the floor to deny, all those in favor? And those opposed? Those opposed are Councillor Wood and Councillor Frass. Motion to deny is approved. Kind of an oxymoron there. Carries. Okay, so the next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building Development Permit Application at 634 Blinken Avenue to consider issuance of development permit. Mover seconder for the recommendations as noted. Moved by Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Grant. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Carries unanimous. Caught me off guard there. Caught me off guard. I'd get it. I know. Yeah, I know. The next report on the agenda is the Director of Community Planning and Building. Consideration of a non-medical cannabis retail store at 166 Island Highway East. To consider adoption of the resolution to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for non-medical cannabis retail store. Do I have a move for a seconder for the motion? Do I see Councillor Beal? Moves, Councillor Martin seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? That passes unanimous. Thank you. Next report on the agenda is from the manager of engineering regarding the speed limit changes as described in resolution 25-279. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation? I'll move it. Thank you. It's just to be received. Yeah, sorry. It's moved by Mayor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Gore. All those in favor to receive? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Question. I thought you were just going to go. Go ahead. Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Through the mayor to staff, is staff looking at direction from council on, yes, you are. I would like to mention that I prefer that we go ahead with the lowering of the speed limits in the, as described in the report. I know it comes with some costs and some comparison with Courtney and Comox if the juice is worth the squeeze, to say it. But I do believe, I think there is some real benefit to the community, lowering the speeds, especially looking at our demographics, younger families. So, you know, if you look at specifically where Councillor Beal lives, like close to Pioneer Crescent, no real sidewalks, young families, they're not feeling safe with those speeding vehicles. Same thing, I guess, across Parksville, you see a lot of speeding vehicles, close to where I am, everywhere. So I would like to actually make a motion for, okay, sorry, there is, okay. So once the subsequent motion would be, yeah, I would like us to move forward in the 2020 next, yeah.
We have to receive it first, and I'll entertain another motion to
Yeah.
follow.
Understood, yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So on the motion on the floor to receive it, I too will be supporting this, obviously. And strictly for the fact that I understand it is a very extensive report that we're receiving here, and I appreciate staff for taking the effort to do it, and including the results from other neighboring municipalities and so forth. And if it was to go further, I would suggest that it would be on a phased approach based on degree of correcting dangerous roads and making them safer for our community. And that would be the priority. I understand it's a large project, but it would be a phased approach.
Yeah.
And for staff to evaluate what they feel needs to be addressed immediately, those in the near future and so forth. And that's what I would hope that staff would be able to do. But I am in favor of moving forward with looking at speed limit changes as a way of making our community safer and for our community. So I'll be voting in favor of receiving it. Any other comments? All those in favor of receiving? Thank you. That's carries unanimous. So, Councillor
move
Gore, is
option
there a
one?
motion? Sorry.
Can I move option one?
Option one.
Under the three options, I'd like to move option one. Option one is that council receive the report for information without express council direction to advance the project. Status quo to remain in effect.
Okay.
Just for information. That's it.
Oh, okay. Just
I'm moving that we don't advance the project this time.
that's seconded by Councillor Grantz.
If I can speak to it.
Go ahead, Councillor Faust. Sure.
So the reason why I'd like to advance it without or to receive the report without advancing right now is because we're at the end of our term. I think the most appropriate thing would be to allow the new council to come in and be able to set up their priorities and figure out their work plan and to be able to slot in where this might go in. If we bring in something onto staff and direct it into the work plan right now, we're going to be loading them up. They're going to have to come in, review all the things on the work plan and then go through it. And they're just going to be spinning their wheels without actually getting anything implemented. And I think you're handicapping the next council. So I think we should take this report when the new council comes in. Maybe it'd be better that we just defer it to be reviewed for that time. And then they can take the report and decide the direction there. But I don't think we should kind of initiate this at the end of our term and load up that work plan. And it's not to say that this should or shouldn't happen fully in the end, but I just don't think right now is the time to be putting it on the work plan.
Councillor Grins, a seconder, do you have a comment?
Sure, 100%. I feel like we've also done quite a loading up of staff already with an OCP review coming. And questions such as this, I imagine would also come up as part of the OCP. So I don't think there's like a really urgent need to address this right now. So let's defer it until the next council, and there'll be plenty of opportunity, I think, to tackle it then.
Okay. Clarification to Mr. Russell, does an OCP even consider traffic management?
Well, if I may, an OCP considers all public input. So if that's a topic of public input, it'll consider that. It's a public engagement effort. And so whatever public comments are received would be considered, whatever those may be.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. And Councillor Frass, to that, I have had huge public input prior to the OCP even being announced, and I have to wait for that. Seems ludicrous. So I've had for 4 years, I've had it, and previous 4 when you and I served together, about we have to slow these roads down. And it was actually came back, and you were on council with me at the time when the Downtown Business Association, the students came back with the report. What did they call it? The students that we work for the PDBA. Anyways, the students, the ambassadors, thank you, Councillor Beal. The ambassadors that work for it came back with a report, reported to us, and they said the biggest comment that they had, in particular for visitors and people in our area, that 19A in front of the community park was horrible to walk on, and the tourists avoided it at all costs, and people felt it was unsafe there. As you know, I walk around a lot in our community. I've had bicyclists yell at us, "You do something about this road. It's too fast," and I almost get blown off for bicycle. I said, "We'll try." I actually, part of my campaign actually says for safe and secure neighborhoods, I addressed it. I'm sorry it took 3.5 years before it got to the table, but we've been kind of busy, as I explained recently. I think it's paramount to introduce it at this particular point, that yes, to our residents and visitors alike, that we are considering it. This council's taken a bold initiative, like we have many other bold initiatives, that we're going to do it. It will be up to the next council whether to proceed or not. They're the ones that approve the work plan. But at this point, at least, we're putting it in the hands, in the queue for the next council to consider pushing it the next way. But I think it's imperative that we recognize the fact that we've been here, we've heard this, and we all know that it's a true thing. But I apologize that it took this long to get to the table, but I mean, it's simply capacity. So that's why I can't support your motion to not take any action. I understand what you're saying. I don't like putting something on the table for a new council before they even get elected. But at the same time, I think it sets the right tone that this council is considering traffic safety improvements. And that's all we're doing. We're not locking them into anything. They're just, nothing would happen anyways, because we only have 3 council meetings left anyways. Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was reflecting on how, when I go, we call it Alberni Highway. Well, it's a little cow trail. Really, when you go through up the road, it's quite nice, actually. You feel like you can walk around and cross the road right where Memorial is there. And if we had 19A similar, not exactly, but a little slower as people are coming into town. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a professional, but I think that would be much more enjoyable for all of us, because I walk around up those streets, Memorial and down by the Rod and Gun and those places, the bank and stuff. And if around the corner, just 19A was sort of similar, it would be quite, make it more quaint and pleasant for people to walk around and ride their bikes. So how it's done, I don't know. I'm not professional enough to understand that, but I feel that. That's just a feeling. But I think it's a real feeling, how you are.
Thank you, Councillor
Support
Martin.
you.
Thank you. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I agree with the mayor's comments here. I certainly hear about this topic out in the city. I hear it a lot. In fact, it's paramount, and safety, yes. But I think there's also more to consider, as you say, if it's more enjoyable, et cetera. But beyond that, this is a topic that has come up. This is at least the third transportation master plan that I have been a part of. So it goes back to Boulevard and back to Boulevard before then, with some concrete suggestions as to what one can do. They have focused on 19A in many cases, but neighborhoods really benefit from slowing down of traffic. Neighborhoods really benefit when people are not cutting off the main roads to cut through neighborhoods. Children, we look at the numbers of people who are out on e-bikes and scooters, it has just exploded. And these are people who are all out in our streets, and they're relatively unprotected. Hopefully they're wearing a helmet, but they may not be. They're riding on sidewalks because they don't feel safe on the streets, because the speeds are too great, or the streets are wide. There are a whole number of reasons. But going back to, as the mayor said, if we at least move it forward, it's not committing someone to go with it. I do have some real questions about some of the budgets. And I have a lot of questions that I would like to ask of our engineering staff when we have the time, but if we don't move it forward, then we don't even get that opportunity to surface that information. So I would like to see it at least get in the queue and get moved forward.
Thank you. Councillor Wood, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question through yourself to staff. The mover of option 1 would like it to be on the radar for the next term's work plan. Is without express council direction to advance the project, the status quo will remain in effect. Is that the best wording for it to be on the radar for the next council, or what would you recommend? Because option 2 says put it in the work plan and include costs, et cetera, et cetera. What's the best wording for that?
Question to CEO Kaler.
Thank you. If I may, through the mayor, yes, I think Councillor Wood is correct. Option 1 was intended to be do nothing. So we're not advancing it or deferring it or referring it. And I think option 2 more appropriately would refer it to budget deliberations and work plan discussions. So further to the mayor's point around phasing and priorities and what happens each year of the work plan, I think that was more what option 2 would envision. And then option 3 just allows council to come up with any other direction it sees fit, which could include referring or deferring, whichever way you want to word that. Normally with a referral, you're referring it to a particular group. So it could be referred to the next council, or it could be deferred to a date when the next council is there. So that's kind of the technical side of that. But I think as was intended right now, option 1 was kind of a bit of a rejection of the project moving forward.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks. I appreciate Councillor bringing it forward and hoping that the next council should take it on. However, we have a mandate still. We are still here to make decisions for the people of Parksville, even to the last meeting. And this is an important issue for our community. It's not that we are not sure where the community stands on this. It's not somebody's pet project. Let's leave it for the next council to take it on. It's a very important issue for our community. And we've heard this. When we were campaigning, even now, you talk to people, it's a very, very important issue for the safety, for the quality of life of our residents. to move it forward is again, putting it on the work plan with costs associated with it. Positive step. We are here to make decisions, not be indecisive, even to the last meeting. So I definitely not support not taking any action. However that vote goes, I'm looking forward to move option 2 after that. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Grins.
Can I maybe propose an amendment to the option to at minimum forward it to the OCP review? That would, and maybe we take it a step further and refer to the next work plan. So maybe I'll move that amendment if there's a feeling like.
Councillor Fraz also put up his
yeah,
hand
yeah.
at the same time. I will
Okay.
ask for his comments to.
What I'd be agreeable to is, because the intent is for the next council to handle this, so I would amend it to defer advancement of the project to the next council while receiving the report. I maintain that I don't think that we should be the ones put on the work plan right now, because we don't know what the priorities are going to be. We don't know, if this is going to be something that is going to be able to be managed in the work plan and become such a high priority item. I hear right now saying that this is a big thing for the community, but in 4 years, it's coming in at the finish line here. It seems to me like the impulse buy at checkout rather than, something that it wasn't identified on our priorities even, right? So if this is such an easy win, then it can be for the next council to have right off the start when they're getting their feet underneath them to know how, then this would be something they could take and go. But I'm not going to support it just because it was a campaign promise or something at the time, or would like to have seen done and so that we can claim it as a win as we come out of this term. I think the important thing is that if it's going to happen, especially at election now, we give them the chance to see where it fits in. I've seen it many times, and every time we see a work plan, all these wonderful things we'd love to get done, but they just cannot all get done. And so putting it in there right now, it could be just another thing that just gets more time spent on it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be as important as other things that's going to have to then be taken off. Typically by the second year, you go in reversing many decisions that were happening in the first year because it's a really ambitious time period. And you would have probably been better off to have not done anything than to have spun your wheels advancing something that you then turn around and retract it. So I hear that it's important. You guys value it. I think it's great too. I think I actually was one of the people to support getting this motion brought forward and having staff work on it. It's just that caution. It's like, I don't think now is the time to be loading that up. So I don't know, it's just trying to give you guys that advice and we'll make the decision together. So I would be agreeable to receiving the report and deferring advancement of this project to the next council.
Thank you. That raises 2 questions that I have for CEO Kaler at this point. Even if we advanced it at this point, as Councillor Gore has suggested, would it even make it? It's not going to make it even going to a staff or report in the term we have left. Is that not correct?
If I may, yes, that's correct. If it was advanced per that draft wording in option 2, it would be at the very minimum a 2027 initiated project.
Yes. Okay. So that answers that question right away. So it wouldn't go anyway. So how is the correct wording instead of deferring it? How would we receive this report as well? And then also refer it instead of defer, refer it to the future council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
How would we do that?
My recommendation would be that we look at the wording of option 2 in the report, which refers it essentially to the budget process. So when the new council is elected, their first budget process will take place in Q1 of 2027 with their orientation and things having taken place. And then they would go through things like the phasing, so what's going to happen in 27, what's going to happen in 28, for example, maybe 29. And then the budget would get allocated for those projects in those applicable years. So if next council decided they didn't want to initiate anything till 2029, it would get put in that year of because we have to do the 5-year plan, as everybody knows. But that doesn't mean it has all the work starts in year 1, right? Every council every year looks at usually a couple of years out. We are legally required to look 5 years out with the expectation that it gets a little less detailed further on, but each year we bring back that budget for the applicable year and the 5-year plan to council. So you're kind of approving two things each year, the 2027 work plan and budget and the 5-year financial plan. So if option 2, I think, captures the intent of what I'm hearing some members of council say, in that like there's 2 more meetings left of this council and we're not dropping tools on other things from what I understand. So this would get put into the queue of with all those other things, the spending packages we bring forward to council, based on business cases from staff and then from ideas brought forward from council, where we do those many budget meetings, mostly in committee. So that new council can give direction on priorities. If you recall, what we do with your term is we bring forward a presentation with like a whole bunch of slides and you yay or nay things as we go.
And council could do even part of their strategic plan.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That council could make a lot of different decisions. They could refer to the OCP. They could refer it to a TMP implementation committee. They could do lots of different things.
Councillor Fraser, are you interested?
Yeah, in the conversation there, then I'll withdraw my motion for option 1 to make room for an option 2.
Permission of
I don't need.
seconder?
I'll just remove
Remove?
withdraw my motion.
And then?
I think it's just cleaner to withdraw it and. I withdraw it.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion on the floor? All those opposed? Thank you. Everyone else except for Joel opposed. Councillor Grants. So now, for the revised motion, I'm going to look to Councillor Gore.
Sorry, I don't have my screen on, but I'm gonna.
No,
Here.
exactly. Option
It's
2.
Option 2 is,
Option
I'll
2.
move option 2, sorry.
If CO should read it out loud, please.
I've got it here if that's
You have
helpful.
there, Councillor Beal?
That option 2, council may direct staff to add this project to the 2027-2031 work plan and include costs outlined in the report to the 2027 budget and 5-year financial plan.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
It's a new role, the reader.
Yeah, Council Beal read it, so she gets to move it, and Councillor Fraser seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Did you oppose? Sorry, I thought, okay, you opposed? Councillor Grants is opposed.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question now, not on the agenda, but just wanted to ask if council wanted to amend the agenda to include anything on the recommendations from committee of the whole, or are we comfortable with just bringing that back in September to work with
Bring it.
KWL?
Do you want to do it now?
It's
Okay.
up to council, not,
Okay.
I think similar to the
Yes.
discussion we just had.
Okay,
Nothing's really going to happen until the next term of
Yeah,
council.
I like it. Can we do it right at this point?
Sure, you just
Okay.
need to make, if you do, then I would suggest council makes a motion to amend the agenda to add the Rise and Report recommendations from committee. And then you would endorse those 3 things that we talked about this morning.
I would like to,
I'll get them for you.
seek council approval of that, amending it.
Seconder,
Okay, second by Councillor Grants. All those in favor of amending?
Councillor Gore, but yeah.
Okay.
We got it.
Good question.
No, okay,
yeah.
call the question. Sorry, any comment about the motion? About rising and reporting? Yeah,
Amending the
amending the agenda to allow for a rise and report. Is everybody in favor of that? Or do you want to comment on it? Okay,
And as a reminder from committee, it was the 3 items, which I think was the side stream storage, conservation plan, and Healy Shelton thing, and Arrowsmith Dam. So
Yes.
4 things. So that was recommended from committee, and we will of course write this more eloquently in the minutes. But now if council wishes to endorse that or make any changes, it could do so, which would start the ball rolling a little bit sooner than if we waited till September.
Thank you.
And as a reminder, we were going to be working with KWL to confirm the scope of those things and come back to you with a budget.
Great. Okay, all those in favor amending the motion, just for amending the motion, all those in favor vote. Okay. Amending the agenda. Okay. That carries. Anybody opposed? Okay. Councilor Gore.
Sorry, thank you.
Do the
Through the
right
mayor,
thing.
are we looking for recommendations then? Yes, all 4 recommendations from the committee of the whole be adopted?
Yes.
Yes, a seconder. Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor
Second.
O'Brien. I have a question through the mayor to staff
Okay, go ahead.
on these recommendations. So the RFP for these 4 stage 2, would they default go to KWL or would they go out for other potential bidders?
If I may, through the mayor. So the initial RFP was written in such a way to allow the same consultant to do phase 1 and phase 2. So whoever bid on that project could bid on basically the whole project. So we don't have to go back out, with the caveat that we want to come back. We want to make sure that the budget that's allocated is something that that current consultant says, yes, we can do the work within, and that they have the expertise to do whatever scope of work we're asking for. So one of the items was the conservation plan. I don't know if they have the expertise to do that, so that's what we would work with them on. Council could decide to go back out for that scope of work, but that will likely cost more, and that someone is gonna have to get up to speed on something that these guys have spent, I don't know how long, 1.5 years doing.
Yeah.
And it was envisioned to be the same consultant just for that kind of continuity when we first went out to bid for that. But there is discretion for council there, and especially if they either don't have the expertise or can't do it within the budget.
Just to follow up, Mayor.
Well,
Thank you. So CEO, do you need direction from this council? I heard that perhaps they may not have the expertise, but there's a potential for cost savings. So do you want any direction from council at this time, or should we leave it with the staff to do the pros and cons and go with the best option at this time?
So what we have deferred from the previous meeting, which I would recommend we bring back to the table, is that we work with KWL to confirm the budget for what you tell us is the priority for phase 2. So if you recall, when when staff came, I think it was June 1st or 15th, I don't remember. We had some motions on there that were deferred until after the committee of the whole happens.
Okay.
And so what we're looking for from council is a priority focus for phase 2. And so I think we have those 4 items identified now after the committee. And what the motion initially said was that we would take that scope back to the KWL team and say, we have 431,000 assigned in the budget. Can you do this scope of work? Are you qualified and do you have time and can you do it? And we would then come back to council to confirm. So they may come back and say, we need 460,000 to do those 4 things. And council might say, Kate, we only want to do 3 of them or something. But the way the motions are written, or that would defer to this meeting, it gives us that ability to go back to KWL and then come back to council with kind of a next step for you to confirm we're either going ahead with those 4 things and the budget is good and KWL is able to do everything, or they might say we have a sub consultant that does
Okay.
X, Y, and Z. So that's where we're at.
And that's exactly what Councilor Gore and I seconded.
Yep, thank
Just
you.
what you said.
So if through the mayor, do you need that deferred motion back on the floor?
I think we would want to have that back on the floor, but
Do you wanna-
slightly different in that you now have your 4 things. So like that one envisioned having the committee of the whole. So we don't have all of those 4.
So is that
priorities.
obsolete now, is what I'm hearing?
No, I think what it is just needs that additional. So we need the 4 items that you have identified from committee
Okay, that's
to
what,
be endorsed as the priority. Then we would bring back this resolution that
Okay, okay.
says, take those 4 things, go talk to KWL.
okay, so let's do the 4 things first.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's what you,
So, but you don't need the deferred motion to be voted on now.
This motion on the floor,
Okay.
go
Okay.
first, and then we'll immediately bring that motion back, because it said to bring it back to you after committee has occurred.
okay, all those in favor of the 4 things on the floor? Sorry,
I'd like to speak to the motion.
okay, Go ahead.
So I didn't support it in committee and I'm not supporting it now. I don't think we're, I was hoping that the committee of the whole would give us an opportunity to ask questions of staff in addition to the proponent, or sorry, the consultant. And with sort of in context of the consultant's updated presentation and answering our questions. But I'm worried that we may be, I just want to, before we proceed, make sure that we fully explored what it is that we're asking of the consultant. And if they're only going to answer the question we ask. And I don't know if we asked a wide enough question quite yet. And I do want to talk to staff. There's stuff on the table that hasn't been considered that is in the works, like ASR is in the works. There's a wider conversation maybe to have in the.
ASR is not in the works with us.
I know it's not in the works with us,
Yeah.
but it's in the works in the region.
We already turned it down. We already turned down. the
Aquifer
Explorer.
storage and recovery.
Yes, we
Yeah.
already pulled it right out of the budget. It's only Nanus that's doing that. on
I
their own
understand.
right.
I understand that. Yeah, I
But
understand that.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
ASR had already been removed.
I understand that. Just give that as an example of
Okay.
the exploration that hasn't been done. I think they're going to answer the question we ask. So if I'm just not personally satisfied that we've asked a wide enough question to direct them on what that, oh, go Healy Lake or go side storage.
But
We have it in the report, but they're only going to give us the answer we asked for.
Councillor Grants, we asked the questions based on the report. And the report had all these options and we cherry picked what we thought were those options. And then we said,
I
we need more
understand.
information on those.
I understand, but the phase one of the report was first to identify a state of the union, basically, right? Like, where are we at today? What is the capacity currently? They've come back to us and said that we actually, while we aren't at the target reliability that we'd want to see, there's not like an urgent, where the taps are going to run dry. And so we got to act right now, make sure we get something in the works immediately. I think can take a little bit more time to now make sure that we're asking the right questions, because they're only going to follow the process that we put in place. But I'm looking for what is the result that we're seeking here, not just what is the process that we're going to go through and just kind of roll on through. So I get that this is the process that we had originally envisioned, was phase one, and then to kind of get a state of the union kind of situation, compile everything, get the updated climate modeling, all those sorts of things. And now we have a sense of what the future is going to look like under current modeling for both population and climate. But we don't have a sense of maybe what is the bigger question for the region around water use and water management. And there's other stuff in the works, whether it's the POR changes that are coming, which may buy us some more time, whether it's some ability to check to reduce the demand in our community, which I know the motion does speak to part of that. But there are other things that may still be worth discussing with for example, Murray and our own staff around this, that I'd love to see, just to make sure that we're putting the right thing in front of the proponent or consultant, that we're asking the right question of them. That's where I'm concerned.
But my point is, Councillor Grants, is that we brought it just back to the table here so that there can be some movement on it now, because we don't meet again until September. So otherwise, we're going to lose that time. Nothing is going to happen. Yeah, well, I'm not.
Can I make a comment?
Okay.
Thank you. No, I respect Councillor Grant's stance on this. I know you want full information. Want to make, we're making decisions, not 5 years, 10 years, but 50 years ahead for our residents, for the region. I get that. However, if we are not able to make a decision after spending $500,000, months of this study being with us to study, restudy, consult all those staff members, that our discretion, they're open to talking to us. You could have asked all those questions to staff previously. I think it goes back to being indecisive. This council has to make a decision, and we must. We have organized this committee of the whole, again, a month in advance, to make sure we are prepared to make a decision. So it's incumbent on this council to make a firm decision and move forward. So I'm going to vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion on the floor here? Yeah.
Yes, the motion is basically those 4 priority items that were discussed and recommended from committee coming back, and it's been moved and seconded by yourselves. So council would be considering that those 4 priorities form the discussion for KWL, which will be the next motion that we'll read out.
Thank you. Yes, the motion is on the floor. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just for clarification, when we say 4 items, because I'm thinking Shelton and Healy Lakes, so is that 2? And, oh, that is 1. Oh, okay, because there was that addition of a water conservation plan. So, pardon me?
That's 4. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
please.
that's the thing. I thought Shelton and Healy were perhaps 2 items. That's why. And because there was also the possibility of raising the Arrowsmith
Yep.
Dam, as well as adding that look at side stream storage if the budget allowed for it. Thank
Um,
you.
Perhaps, Mayor, I should clarify what the 4 items are. So the
Please.
4 items that we believe council recommended, if I can read my own scribbles here, was Shelton and Healy Lakes being option 1, improvements to the AWS dam being 2, conservation guidelines for residential, commercial, and resort areas, so a conservation plan, and side stream storage. So those are the 4 items that committee recommended.
Thank you.
Considering.
All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? Note Councillor Grenz is opposed. Thank you. Yes?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the next one that was deferred, in my pile of paper, from the first time this was brought forward when staff did the presentation, was that council provide direction on priorities, which you just have. Timing, I think we're kind of doing. We're going to speak to KWL. And obtain that staff be directed to obtain a quote on the council approved scope of work for the phase 2 project from KWL and determine if the current budget allocation of 431,000 is sufficient. So if this passes now, staff would start the discussion with KWL and bring it back to a subsequent meeting, most likely, hopefully September, assuming we're able to get the information from them. And then you can have a further discussion on that point based on what we talked about, whether they can do it, whether that's enough budget, all those things.
I'd like to move that. Okay, and Councillor Gore seconded. Any further discussion? Councillor Witt?
Thanks, Mayor. I just feel a little bit encouraged if I don't really have any question if KWL can handle these. It might be through subcontracts if it's not something that they typically will do for Class C or D estimates or a water conservation plan. I just wanted to mention that we want to get the best value for, even though these weren't property taxes and it was a grant, we still want to get the best value for these items. And if they have to get broken up, or if there's a company that does conservation plan specifically and the dollar amount is pretty good, maybe they did one for the RDN, I'm not sure. I would hope that we try to get the best value for that instead of kind of asking one company, hey, is this gigantic amount of money enough, or should it go up a little bit? So I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks, but I think we can trust staff and trust staff with making that decision. Yeah, I would say we're getting into the weeds here. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion on the floor? Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Sorry, gentlemen, we're getting there. Bylaws, 2 readings in advance of public hearing. Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2026, number 1492.10 for 457 and 489 Stanford Avenue East and 472 Island Highway East. Do I move or second for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Beale. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? That is opposed by Councillor Gore. Thank you. 2 readings in advance to public hearing. Yeah, it's because it's separate. Right. 2 readings in advance of public hearing for the zoning and development amendment bylaw 2026, number 2000.162 for 457 and 489 Stanford Avenue East and 472 Island Highway East. By mover or seconder for the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Beale. Any discussion? All those in favor? And those opposed? Those opposed by Councillor Gore. Thank you. Carries. Final adoption. Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2000.156 for 423 Alberni Highway. Do I have a mover seconder for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, gentlemen. Final adoption for road closure bylaw 2025, number 1598, adjacent to 423 Alberni Highway. A mover seconder for the recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And those opposed? Thank you, carries. There are two notices of motion on the agenda. First being Councillor Wood, support for Arrowsmith Natural Guide to Mountain Arrowsmith Biosphere Region. If you could read out your proposed motion, Councillor Wood, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I begin, I want to mention that I'm going to let Councillor Beal speak to this as she was filling in for Councillor Martin for Mabry during this. The only reason I'm bringing it forward is because one of the participants for Arrowsmith Naturalists reached out to me. But I wanted to give the liaison or the acting liaison the ability to speak to it. That council authorized a one-time contribution of $2,500 from Council Contingency to the Arrowsmith Naturalists in support of a nature guide to Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere Region, matching the contribution of the town of Qualicum Beach.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Beal. Councillor Wood, you get to speak to it first. Are you passing on? You may defer to the person beside.
I'll defer to Councillor Beal. Thank you.
Councillor Beal,
All right.
you can speak to the motion.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, I did meet with actually the same person who contacted Councillor Wood. Pat is her name, is with the Arrowsmith Naturalists, but this is a project that's very close to Mabry, strongly supported by Mabry. And what they are planning to do, and they've made great progress with all the details, and that is to make a, what is it called? Like a perpetual calendar agenda, similar to what was done in the Bulkley Valley by the naturalists there, only this one would contain photos of the 10 amazing places as well as Hamilton Marsh and also the French Creek estuary. And this booklet, they've made such progress with the planning that it will be ready by the end of the summer. And so the timing is great because if you recall, there will be an amazing conference in September, Euromab, where representatives from 53 different biosphere regions internationally will be attending right here at Tinamera, a conference. And so at that event or convention, I guess, the hope this can be produced in time so that Mabry has agreed to buy so many copies and they will be presented there, et cetera, et cetera. So we have an opportunity. The request is to have us sponsor this as well. And separately, Councillor Wood and myself had both thought that an amount of $2,500 would be an appropriate contribution to sponsor this. And I hope that this will be accepted to come from contingency. And as it turns out, that is exactly the amount that the town of Qualicum Beach is also contributing to this event. I chose that event, that amount, partly because we presently have $12,500 in our contingency fund. So it leaves a nice round number of $10,000 in the contingency fund if this is approved. And if you have any other questions about it, I have more details, but I thought that's enough.
Thank you. I have a question for staff to CAO Kaler. Did the Mount Arrowsmith Naturalists appear to us at our budget time as on the request on the ask list?
No, not this year.
Okay. Mount Arrowsmith Naturalists. It's a just Arrowsmith Naturalists.
Mabry did Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere, but not the naturalist.
Yeah. But this issue is not related to Mabry?
It's initiated by the Aerosmith Naturalists.
Yes.
However, they did meet with Mabry about this, and so Mabry is strongly supporting it. They're really excited by it, which is why we also received a letter of support or with a request that had the Mabry logo on it. But no, this is from the Aerosmith Naturalists. I think they had been at an event, pardon me, where they saw what they had done up in the Bulkley Valley and thought this would be a very nice thing to do for our area. But it picked up a lot of momentum once they realized that it would actually be possible to have this produced in time so that there would be something available at the Euromap conference, which again is happening this September. They
Right.
shopped around, they found a publisher who can have it published in time and actually for considerable less than other publishers they looked at. They can get it produced for, I think it's $16,000 is the total cost.
Okay.
But
Yes.
they are hoping to get some support from local government as well.
And-
And
but-
with that, there would be a nod, recognizing sponsorship would be permanently. And so every time it's republished, if that happens, the city of Parksville, of course, would be acknowledged there.
Thank you, CEO Kaler, and we did have a previous amount for Mabry. We did, didn't we do the brand festival?
Yes, if we have a line item for Mabry, which
Yes.
is $5,000 annually for mostly to
That's
support
right.
their brand festival.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I got. So I would have preferred to see this request come at budget time. I won't be supporting this because this is $2,500 of taxpayer money. And I'm not sure of the benefit for the Parksville taxpayers that it's worthy of taking their taxpayer dollars to sponsor this nature guide to the biosphere region. So I won't be sponsoring or supporting this because our taxpayers are screaming loud and clear that even at our reduced tax rate, that it was still too much. But this is just death from a thousand cuts. So I would rather have this prepared in our budget time for $2,500 is nothing to sneeze at. And just the fact that it's in contingency, I still recognize the fact it's the people's money. And I want to know what benefit the city of Parksville would get, residents would get for that. So just my comments. I would not be supporting this. Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you. Either you or Councillor Wood could speak a little bit about the nature guide, what it has, and is the purpose of this nature guide just to be at that conference you mentioned, or would it be available at the Mabry and even at our library or like all these places so people get to appreciate and see the wonderful nature that exists in our biosphere. So that's the benefit I see to our community. I think it also is a great educational tool for adults and children alike. If you can speak to that a little, this is all speculation in my head, but can you speak to the nature guide and where will it be published and available for the public? Thank you.
Thank you
Councillor Beal.
thank you for the question. And yes, absolutely. The timing was such so that it can be available for the Euromap. However, beyond that, absolutely, there will be enough copies that are produced that it will be available in local bookstores. Also for the library, copies will be going to the schools. Also at the Mabry office, yes, and the visitor center and other places as well. So this is not just to produce copies for that event. That was more around the timing. And this is the Aerosmith Naturalists who are doing this with the full support of Mabry. Okay, it is not, and so that Mabry is providing photos of the areas, I think at no cost to them, etc. It's many pages. It's a perpetual agenda so that it doesn't have the dates, but it has information about the various areas, the photographs, etc. that would be in the book. I'm not sure of everything, but that's the intent. It will be widely available in the area. And as I said, in all the schools and beyond. And I realize it is, it is taxpayers' money. But they do need, in order for this to come together in a timely fashion, they are hoping and needing support from others other than the area.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think what has happened to the naturalist is that they've realized this conference, and this conference is a great kickoff for this. And I was going to do it in my report. I was going to mention this, and I'll just mention what it is. And then, so this is exposure, and it's Euromab conference bringing together 53 countries from 308 UNESCO biospheres reserves. These delegates are mainly from Europe and North America, and the headquarters at Tanamera Conference. It's an economic boost to the community. That's the part that I think the conference will bring, and that was what I was going to report today, but this is something that will tie into it in a great way, that's why. And there's a lot of different people from everywhere. Just think if they took that home, would they share it with somebody? Great economic boost. So that's what I was going to report in my liaison report today from the meeting I was just at.
Thank you. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Councillor Greer sat in this exact seat, and so I'm kind of channeling him hopefully a little bit from the meetings that I watched, where he would always ask if groups were raising their own money for a certain thing. I think in this case, it probably came down to kind of a last minute thing, but we would always ask for groups to do a certain percentage of fundraising on their own projects before they come and ask for taxpayer money. In this instance, kind of building on what Councillor Gore has mentioned, we are part of Mabry, and this is a small contribution to the project that has come to us at this time, and we'll match the contributions that we see from the town of Qualicum Beach. So I'll be in support. Thanks.
Okay. Any further comment? No, I'm just going to call the question. Comment or
Question.
voting?
Question.
Call the question.
No, I have a question. I'm not calling the question. I have a question.
Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Grant. G.
One of those Gs. Question through to Councillor Beal is, do we know whether Aerosmith Naturalists have sought and gotten funding from the regional district as well?
Thank you for the question. And I don't recall the answer to that. I know that they're being approached, but I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question. But have they been raising funds on their own? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do take it quite seriously that we actually live in the biosphere. And so I think that's worth supporting, and this really highlights that. So it ties together, although this is not an original initiative from the biosphere region. But I know that they have gathered other funds, but I don't know exactly what their target is, but they feel like they're going to be able to get there, especially with our support. So when you consider the total cost of $16,000, obviously they've been raising funds.
Yeah. And then maybe question through to staff, and they may not know the answer to this, but does Qualicum Beach have the similar process to what we have in Parksville as regards providing support to community organizations? Do they do one-off support like the regional district does, and in addition to grants? Do we know about that?
They don't.
I don't know exactly how they do their process. I feel like we're unique in that we have it all at one time during budget for that contextual benefit. I know they contribute a similar amount, actually a little bit higher in permissive taxes than us. That's all I know.
And I can answer the question on the grants. They do not have the grant program that we have, when we have our two intakes. Qualicum Beach does not have that. We have 2,500 spring and 2,500 fall, total of $5,000 community grants. The RDN have a whole different grant program that covers everything. In fact, the last one, actually, they just give away $100,000. RDN, yes. But Qualicum Beach doesn't have it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. This is a tricky one because I do want to reinforce our processes for community groups coming forward, and for us to weigh all the different asks. And the more we stray from that, the more we open ourselves up to having to do that even more, which becomes tricky then, because now we're not looking at things in context with each other, and it almost becomes more, I hate to see the opportunity where kind of individual counselors may bring their own kind of little things forward, as opposed to having them all taken in context. Not saying that this is what's happening, it's just that from a policy perspective, that's because I mean, I'd love to see this go forward, but the question is about the process.
Right. And I echo that concern, because contingency is that. It's like an unseen emergency or an unseen situation that, you know, that this is what we have, that contingency at the start of the year for. And we've been pretty good with doing that for groups that, you know, they didn't apply for a grant or something, and they're, you know, the bus is leaving tomorrow type of thing. And we supported it out of contingency, but I don't see this as that. If they don't get this money, are they not going to have a guide? Yeah, I don't know. So that's what I'm saying, is that like, it could have been brought through the proper process, as Councillor Grinsman. So anyways, Councillor Fraz, go ahead.
Thank you through the mayor to council. I would like to support this motion, but I think I'm a little bit swayed by the reminder of our process through this. But also too, without knowing the Aerosmith naturalists, I think this kind of ask coming forward, I need to, or like to have them come as a delegation, introduce themselves, be able to answer questions, find out more about it. And then I think a $2,500 ask or something I would be able to consider a little bit more, but without those components to it, I got to defer back to the way I deal with typically these kind of asks. And I say, put them through to the grant application process. And as the mayor mentioned, like respecting the taxpayers' dollars. So I'm not going to be able to support it today, but for those reasons, I do think this is great work that they do. I think we got a very incredible biosphere region that deserves the attention and support. I just like to, I wish they were here to be able to speak to them directly.
Sure, I agree. I love the organization, so there's no question about that. But at the same time, I'm troubled by the word sponsorship. Sponsorship, is this going towards printing of this, but it says a sponsorship, so we have our name on the inside leaf on it. But the thing is, if it's just a sponsorship, I'm concerned about that, because that definitely would be a process. And as Councillor Fraz has said, we had other people that have come as a delegation that explained, oh, we messed up, and at the last minute, we need this to achieve our goal here of having this in time for the thing. I would more have appreciated them actually appearing here before, because they have approached us before and asked for letters of support. I know recently for the French Creek preservation of the estuary, where we did send a letter of support to the Aerosmith naturalists. So anyways, let's get going here, guys. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Those opposed are Councillor Fraz, Councillor Grens, and Mayor O'Brien. The motion passes. Thank you. Councillor Wood, you have another one. I'm not sure you need to read the whole thing.
No, please, no.
Can you?
I'll just summarize for you, Mayor, if that's what you'd like.
Yeah.
MP Johns came up and chatted with us during Canada Day. He's kind of rallying this across the entire island. The idea is that there's federal operation support at $1.63 per passenger for the ferries for Vancouver Island, whereas there's approximately $291 versus $1.63, $291 for federally supported East Coast ferry systems. So he's getting kind of bipartisan support from federal conservative MPs on this. He's getting a lot of traction on this. He's had some letters of support from other municipalities. And so I said that I would bring it to Parksville to support this as well. And I believe the ask at the end of the motion is send copies of this resolution to be forwarded to Prime Minister Mark Carney, who probably won't read it himself, but at least we sent it. Minister of Transport, local members of Parliament, local members, et cetera, UBCM, in support of this. And so he's getting a lot of traction across the island because of course we depend on ferries. But since we are not our own province, we don't get what the feds give the East Coast because they have different provinces out there, even though we have more population. I'm going to stop talking. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I don't, anyways, let's put it on the table. Okay, those moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Gore, did you say? Yeah, okay, thanks. Councillor Wood, you spoke to it. Councillor Gore, your turn.
Yes, thank you. So it was the first time I heard about this was when it was on the agenda. I haven't had the conversation with the MP about this. Being an island community and dependent on the ferry system makes sense to have this looked at. But I would be quite curious to see what the province has, like through the UBCM. I guess we can get some input on this. But I'm not sure, is the comparison being made with the East Coast by the MP, or is this your analysis that you've done and the reasoning? Because I think the economics are quite different. I think the East Coast needs a lot of federal grants and help compared to the West Coast. We seem to be doing economically better off. So if you can speak to that a little bit, like the comparison, like why is that being highlighted?
Sure. The motion has been copy pasted, Mayor, if I may. Copy pasted from, I believe this one's Courtney. But all the numbers on there are straight from our MP. And the reason the East Coast ferries get more subsidies is because they're interprovincial, whereas our ferries are only within BC. And so the feds get to subsidize those interprovincial ferries out east. And then they get to not support our ferries here, which of course we depend on. And then it all lies provincially, those costs for BC ferries. And so what he's doing is trying to be a champion for Vancouver Island and some of the lower mainland that use our ferries a lot, but we just don't see those federal subsidies. That's his argument.
If I can just ask a question to Councillor Wood, the final, be it resolved, number 7, that it is be forwarded to the UBCM basically and FCM too. Would it not be better to be presented at the UBCM table? Like, I mean, there's a UBCM coming in September that I'm not attending, but at the same time, wouldn't it be better coming from the UBCM? Because if you forward it to the UBCM that this is just a resolution we did as a city to support Gord John's initiative, then I don't know what they can do with that. They would prefer then that we would introduce a resolution as we've done in the past for other supports, something like this, stand up to the mic and take the heat. And then that would be an endorsement by UBCM, which carries, I think, a bigger stick than the individual municipalities. But I'm not sure that this is out of our field. Obviously, I'm not against it, but at the same time, CEO Kaler, what is the letter of support? What is the latest costs? You know, I'm going to go there. What is the latest cost, the letter of support from staff to take this through, not to mention the time that we're spending right here?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've typically used about 7 hours as a proxy just because of the time standing, sitting here and putting it on an agenda and then follow up and then writing the report and me reviewing it and you reviewing it and then you signing it and then us filing it and sending it. So on average, it's kind of 4 to 7 hours, I would say, for something like this. That was what we've used as proxy for the previous council when we were sending a lot of correspondence, and we did actually track how long it takes to write them, and it's like a few hours for sure.
So what are you saying? 5?
4 to 7, like depending on
4 to
how.
700, right? Okay.
Yeah, so it
Again,
depends on whether we have whether we're just saying, here's a motion and go, or whether we have to craft a letter and spend a few hours.
And that's why we don't do proclamations. It's exactly the same thing. It just goes on. It's a huge drain on staff. Yeah, that's my only comments. Go ahead, Councillor Press.
Thank you. I'm glad you raised that kind of concern though too. I think these are, worthy things to be happening at a federal level, but if we need to really be getting involved at this point, even too, if it's really making a difference out of it, but we're not a ferry community in of ourselves. And this is it's a federal issue going on there. The quality of ferries probably does need to be looked at. I don't know if it's something that we need to be spending our time on right now. I think the UBCM probably will come up there and, can put our support behind it in that way. And it's a much bigger voice. Appreciate Councillor Wood though bringing this forward. It's, supporting our MPs, doing good work out there. If it's things are reflecting for our area, I think, maybe as individuals getting behind them and sending letters, that type of thing shows more support for our MP. But, for Parksville, let's look out for the things for Parksville residents and then, at the federal level, let's let our MP do that work there.
Thank you. Councillor Gore, you had your hand up. Are you good or? Councillor Grens, is your hand up or are you waving to me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Further to Councillor Fraz's comments, I'd also add that it kind of gets really into some constitutional questions around why there's funding in certain, province, interprovincial and all that, which is quite above my pay grade. While I would very much love to get every dollar we can to our region from the feds, if I were to prioritize those dollars, I think there are some other ones I'd look at, and we in our region are very much focused on prioritizing, for example, our previous discussion around water, but also around funding that may be chased down for a hospital in our region. So those, I think, where we can definitely put pressure on and that don't get into sort of constitutional questions.
Thank you. I want to get going because I want to get done before 5. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to call the question.
I have a comment.
Okay, speak fast.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think before council votes one way or the other, again, councillor would perhaps speak to other municipalities. I've heard they've supplied this letter of support, which municipalities those are, and have they done it as a council resolution, or can you speak to that a little bit, please, on the island?
I don't have a gigantic list in my head. I know Tofino and Courtney have. I would argue they're relatively NDP. At the same time, I think our MP has supported, for instance, volunteer first responder tax credits and some other things. So I would be hesitant to support it if I felt this was a partisan issue. But Gord even told me that Aaron Gunn has supported this. So that's very, very opposed politically. And so I feel it's a pretty nonpartisan issue. As for UBCM, I didn't do a bunch of homework on what resolutions have been passed. I can almost guarantee that there's a bunch of resolutions that have already been passed and supported by UBCM that ask for more funding from both the province and the feds for ferries. I think the way that this is written is just to kind of send the letter off to as many channels as possible, just to kind of be as loud as possible to support the issue as much as possible. If I had to choose whether from a very strict amount of funding, whether or not we want NRGH upgrades versus some BC ferry subsidies, I would definitely choose NRGH upgrades. Where this goes, I have no idea. It's more of, hey, MP, we'll support you. This seems like a nonpartisan issue that you're getting some traction on. So that's where I'm coming from, not really supporting it.
Thank you. I want to call the question. Haven't you? What have you been doing? Where's your hand? There it is. Councillor Beal.
Thank
Floor
you.
is yours.
I also see this as a very nonpartisan issue, and I would agree that our MP has worked hard on a number of issues that have benefited people in our community. But also I look at this and I think, well, what's the harm in doing it? And I don't really see any harm in doing it, so I'd like to support it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Councillor Fraz, Councillor Grens, Mayor O'Brien opposed. That carries. Thank you. And we're going to go to liaison report. Any notices the motion for the next meeting, which is about 3 years from now. So, okay, none. Liaison reports. We're going to go to Councillor Beal.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick ones. The Arts Council, if you haven't had a chance to get to the MAC to see the summer exhibit, I encourage you, you can take a trip across the country and also read a very, very moving story that goes with this amazing pastels that go with a journey across by train across the country. Highly recommend it. Also, shifting on to Early Learning and Childcare Council of Oceanside, I'd just like to share that in the coming period of time that there's going to be continued focus on recruitment and retention. So people often think about the cost, of course, of childcare, the importance of having the spaces. But along with that, without active recruitment to encourage young people to go into the field of early learning, early childhood education, and also retention, because as it stands, the pay rate is not the best compared to, anyway. So recruitment and retention will be a strong focus of the group.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, go ahead, please.
Yes, the Parksville Downtown Business Association, just to reminder, every Tuesday evening, the Craig Street Market and Picnic on Memorial goes on and I went one night, I mean, there was thousands there. It was shoulder to shoulder. Couldn't believe it.
No, it's crazy.
Goes from 6 to 8:30, and then they have Kick It Fridays on Memorial with the Oceanside football team on Fridays. So that's going from 5 to 8 p.m. And if you want any more information, go to the website. The Parksville, on Mabry. And thank you for passing this, but it's more educational. What is a biosphere? And I was in an interview with Pam Shaw, who's in charge. And I said, I only signed up for this because I didn't even know what it was, because I wanted to learn more, right? And so this is educational and it's good for not just a boost to the economy. I'm not going to read my liaison report on Mabry again. And the Parksville Museum is music at the museum. They have on July 23rd, Crystal Dos Santos, Magic of Motown. And on the 30th, they have Kyle McKerney, award-winning country and bluegrass singer and songwriter, both from 6 to 8. And you can order PM, and you can order tickets online or at the door. On every the gift shop there from all the artisans has really been successful. And so there's 18 local artisans and they have gifts there in their gift shops. So they're open. The artisans actually come the second Sunday too, but it's there open when the museum's open. So there's lots going on. So that's all. Check the websites for any more details. That's it.
Any other non-announced liaison reports? You almost put up your hand. Can I have a mover second for adjournment, please? Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Beal. All those in favor? Those opposed? You can say, but you have to get it. You have to get an extension. We are adjourned.
We
Thank
didn't
you.
have to do that.
That was a quick day.